Hello!
And welcome back to Books and Crannies.
A Book Lovers podcast.
I'm Danielle.
And I am Sarah.
Heck yeah. And y'all, we are freaking diving into the last book of the ACOSF series.
Oh.
You know you get at least one song every episode.
We are the new pentatonics.
Sorry about that for you guys. I don't think it's great compared to pentatonics, especially.
I don't know what you mean.
I mean, we're all right. But anyway, we're diving into A Court of Silver Flames.
Yeah.
The last freaking book.
We got 4 episodes for this book, and then we're done with ACOSF, y'all.
I know.
And then what are we going to do?
Well,
I'm just kidding. We have plans. Don't worry.
Got plans. Stop worrying. Don't panic for our few listeners.
Do not fret.
Yeah, we're excited. I think after this, we're going to switch it up.
We are.
Different genre.
Yep.
But that's not right now.
That is not.
We have an entire month until that happens.
Yeah.
But we're diving into the last good old book.
Yes,
good old orangey.
Yep. We get to talk about Nesta.
I know.
A whole bunch.
Nesta and Cassian, a whole bunch. And I feel like people have a lot of mixed emotions about this book. Like, a lot of people don't like it. And I think it's because it takes you out of this cute little Reese and Farrah bubble and puts you into a different bubble.
Yeah. It's a grumpy bubble.
A grumpy bumble. Bumble. The bumblebee is grumpy.
Just stop it.
I know. I shouldn't ever try to make jokes ever again. It is different. It's a change of pace.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it. I like it. I think it's.
I have a love-hate relationship with Nesta. We talked about this, I think.
Somewhere.
I don't
At some
remember
point
where.
in time.
But, like, she's one of those characters that I love to hate.
Yeah.
Like,
I love her.
I do,
I
too.
think she's boss. And I love Cassian. So I like that this book focuses really heavily on the two of them.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping in the future, like, we get Az somewhere.
I'm sure we will.
We have to.
I can't.
We don't even know when this series is going to end.
No.
We know that one more is on its way.
At least one.
But there could be many. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, we should probably get talking because,
Yeah.
we talk a lot.
We do.
So
grab a snack.
And a drink.
And your favorite blanket.
Get cozy.
And snuggle up and listen.
Listen.
Or do your chores.
Yeah. Whatever you got to do.
You know the drill, though. No vacuuming. No.
Loud noises.
Loud noises.
You can't drown us out as much as you want to. Why would you listen if you wanted to? Come on. Chase. Obviously. So anyway, we start this book with a prologue of Nesta, like, flashing back to her time in the cauldron.
Yep.
The good old cauldron experience.
Yeah, I think she's having a nightmare.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
She thinks about watching Elaine having been put in there, and having her dragged out and facing, like, Lucian and other people that she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Other Fae, I suppose. And she thinks about her freaking death finger pointed at the king.
Yep.
And just the feeling of being shoved without her consent into a cauldron of death.
Terrible.
Yeah. I have a quote, but Sarah also has a quote, and her quote starts before mine.
Okay.
So I don't know how we want to do this.
Well,
When you end, I'll pick up.
Okay. I'll read my quote.
Okay, this is on page 2 and 3.
In the beginning and in the end there was darkness and nothing more. She did not feel the cold as she sank into a sea that had no bottom, no horizon, no surface, but she felt the burning. Immortality was not a serene youth, it was fire. It was molten ore poured into her veins, boiling her human blood until it was nothing but steam, forging her brittle bones until they were fresh steel. And when she opened her mouth to scream, when the pain ripped her very self in two, there was no sound. There was nothing in this place but darkness and agony and power. They would pay, all of them.
Starting with this cauldron, starting now. She tore into the darkness with talons and teeth, rent and cleaved? What is that use of rent? Rent and cleaved and shredded, and the dark eternity around her shuddered, bucked, thrashed. She laughed as it recoiled, laughed around the mouthful of raw power she ripped out and swallowed whole, laughed at the fistfuls of eternity she shoved into her heart, her veins. The cauldron struggled like a bird under a cat's paw. She refused to relent. Everything it had stolen from her, from Elaine, she would take from it. Wrapped in black eternity, Nesta in the cauldron twined, burning through the darkness like a newborn star. We haven't really heard a lot from Nesta
Yeah.
about her experience and, like, what's happened since and how she's been feeling since because she's so damn, stoic and reclusive and doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So we're starting to.
We are.
And it's dark.
Yeah, it is. It's really sad.
It is. I feel bad for Nesta.
And, like, the fact that she feels like she has to go through it all alone is
I know.
heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah, it starts getting deep for poor little Nessie.
Yeah.
Loch Ness Monster.
Monster.
But then we flash into present day.
Yeah.
And Cassian is at Nesta's little slum of an apartment.
Yeah.
And
banging on her door.
yeah, he's been ordered to fetch her.
Yep.
And he's like building himself up to do it. He's nervous.
He's nervous. And he knocks on her door and she doesn't
Wow, you glitched.
I just
Normally
turned
it's
into
me.
Goose.
You did. That sounded like a Pac-Man.
Any hoodle. When she doesn't answer right away, he's like relieved. He's like, oh god, thank goodness.
Yeah, he doesn't want to face
I'm
her.
gonna go now.
She's been an ass.
Yeah, but then he hears her.
Yeah. I think the last time he talked to her was at the Winter Solstice, which was in the last book.
Yeah.
And she was a bish.
Yeah, she was real mean.
Big ol' bish.
And he threw his gift in the tundra.
I know. What was
In
the
tundra.
tundra? Since when are we in a winter plane?
In the Cedra.
Tundra.
Where did that even come from?
I don't know, but I really liked it. I want to know what his gift was.
I do too.
I'm like, what was he going to do?
if I remember correctly, we find out eventually.
Maybe.
In this book, but I don't
Perhaps.
know for sure.
I don't know for sure either, but nonetheless, they left on a bad note the
Yeah.
last time they saw each other.
Yeah,
And he's been ordered to go fetch her, and she does answer the door eventually.
she does.
And she's wearing like a dude shirt.
Yep.
That's all.
Yeah.
And is a hot mess.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Hungover.
yeah.
Didn't she like puke on herself or something too?
Maybe. I don't know
don't-
if he
I
just
don't
did
remember.
describe that or not, but she answers the door in a ruffle. She is not in a good way. And he's like, sup.
Yeah.
Saw. Feyre wants you
Yep.
to come to the house.
And she's like, which house?
What?
They have 17.
Yeah,
so.
because at this point, I mean, end of last book, Reese bought Feyre a big estate.
Plot of land, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a estate. It was
Essentially.
destroyed.
Yeah.
And he's like, build it. Do whatever you want, baby.
I love you.
I love you. Have my babies. And so it's built.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
Time has passed. We don't know how much.
I think we learn at some point. I don't remember when, but
I don't know if it matters even. But we,
we also were completely wrong. The last time they talked was not on the
over the summer?
because there was a party on a boat or something
yeah, the barge.
on the Cedra.
But did
on
they
the
talk
tundra.
at that? Because did they talk at that? Because I feel like
I don't know.
I don't know. Nesta came to a party over the summer, but I don't
Yeah.
know that Cassian and her had any interaction.
I don't know either.
But anywho,
Yeah.
the giant sprawling river estate is complete,
Yeah.
and Pharaoh wants her there.
Yeah.
That's what Cassian's whole goal is, and she has a man in her room, some skis ball from
Yeah.
the freaking dive bars.
Who's trying his best to like sneak out the window?
Yeah.
And Cassian's like, buddy.
Yeah, we all know.
Yeah.
We can hear you. We're Faye.
I can smell you.
Yeah, it's stanky in here, and not just yours.
Yeah.
And so Cassie's like, get him out of here. I'm back in 30 minutes or whatever. You got time to get yourself together,
Yeah.
and then we're leaving. And she's like, you can't make me. I feel like she wants to fight back, but he's
Yeah.
like, just do it.
Yeah.
I don't have the time or patience for
I
this.
will just carry you under my arm.
Yeah, I
Quit
will
arguing.
drag your ass out of here if I have to.
Yeah.
And so he goes and like gets her a cup of coffee or something while she's getting dressed. And the guy leaves. And when she comes back in the room, she's like, you can go out through the front door. And this male she brought home is like, is he still here?
Yeah. He's like, also, by the way, you still have my shirt. I need it.
And she just strips in front of him. She has like zero shame, and you know, she's just bottom of the barrel right now.
Yeah.
She'll take whatever, drowning out all of the thoughts. She's really just trying to escape, man. But he won't tell Nesta either, like, what this summoning is about.
Yeah.
Because, well, I'm sure he was told not to. We don't need to know about that. But we do find that, like, all of this behavior that Nesta's been portraying, you know, all the banging and drinking and otherwise, is because she's trying to, like, drown out her power.
Yeah.
She does, in fact, still have her powers.
She does indeed. She's trying to stomp them down.
Yeah. Dull them.
Yep.
Quiet it. And also, you know, racing thoughts about all the trauma she's been through.
Yeah.
Especially her dad's death. I feel like
she still can't even have, like, a fire in her house because the crackling of the wood.
Yeah. Sounds like her father's neck breaking.
It's really sad.
I feel like that's the biggest piece of things that she's holding on to. Outside of...
traumatic as hell.
Yeah, she watched it happen.
Yeah.
As he was like, I have loved you since you were born.
Yeah, and she hated him and treated him like shit.
I know, and he only showed up at the last minute and then freaking died in front of her. So she's not in a good way about that. And I feel like...
can't blame her.
No, not at all. I mean, that whole experience was traumatic for everybody. Mm-hmm. But she also, you know, took the king's head and did a lot of really terrible things.
Yeah.
Almost watched Cassian die, too.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, a whole bunch of people died not because she saved Cassian, but she couldn't save all of them.
Yeah.
Like, he was the one person she was able to save in that big explosion when she called him.
The cauldron blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she is trying to just drown it all out by getting messed up and banging people.
Yeah.
Which, all right.
You do you,
but also it's been a while.
Everyone deals with shit in their own way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we learn at some point how long it's been. I just don't remember when or how long it's been.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember when we learned it, but I feel like it was pretty early on. And it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Been a long time.
It's like months.
I think it's like more than a year.
Mayhaps. I don't know. I don't know how long it's been since the war. Because really, this has been her behavior, you know, since they got back from all of that.
Right.
We maybe learn it from Feyre when they start having their conversation. That is perhaps true. But anyway, she gets herself ready. She's like trying to, you know, she puts on the dress from last night that's kind of stinky, and her shoes are covered in wine. And
it was wine on her shoes, not pook.
Yeah, not pook.
Got it.
Yeah. So she's kind of in a rough way, but she's like, whatever, let's just get out the door.
I don't care what you people think about me.
Yeah. He, like, gives her a scarf or brings one. He's like, you should wear that, too.
Yeah.
And gets her ass out of there.
Yeah.
And I feel like she has this, you know, they have a straining relationship, Cassian and Nesta, at this point.
Yeah.
Because they were, like, on the precipice of freaking uncovering something about each other and, like, falling in love, I think, you know? Because in that moment when she thought he was going to die, he had told her that he wished he had more time.
Is not having more time with you.
Yeah.
Basically.
And she sees in his eyes, like, how much he resents her and feels like it's her fault that all of the things happened with the Lyrians and stuff. But she also knows it's the king's fault. She just can't, like, piece those things together. To feel okay about it. But yeah, he comes back. He has a cup of something for her. Cup of Joe?
Cup of Joe.
Cup of Joe. And he's like, man, you could clean your sheets in between each mail. Good Lord. I freaking smell several.
Gross.
She's like, shut up. It's not your business. You freaking Illyrian baby. She doesn't say that, but I imagine. She could have. But they make it to the estate.
They do.
And this riverfront estate is wild.
It is. It's massive.
It's huge and beautiful and ornate. And there's a whole lot of artwork from Feyre. And it's really fancy. And she is like, of course they have this crazy estate, but they've actually managed to make it feel pretty homey.
Yeah. But there's no, Nesta notes that there's like no sign of her anywhere.
Yeah, or her mom.
Or her mother.
Yeah.
But everyone else, like their father and Elaine and Feyre, obviously.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, the inner circle.
And all of the inner circle, of course.
Which is her chosen family.
Yeah.
And they get in, and Amren's there, Feyre's there, Rhys is there. Cass, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, and was it mentioned already that her and Amren, like, had a falling out?
Yeah, Amren's there, and there's definitely tension. But Nesta essentially, ruined that too at the summer party on the barge or whatever. So we don't know what happened there, but we know that they had a falling out.
And Amren was like the only person that Nesta would even talk to about anything.
Yeah.
So.
And the only person who doesn't put up with her nonsense. I feel like Amren's good at shutting that shit down. And,
for sure.
Yeah, Nesta burned that bridge sometime recently, but they enter this beautiful ornate study or library or something, I think, and they're all sitting waiting. Reese is tense, standing at the mantle. Yeah. Because he still hates Nesta.
He absolutely hates her.
Cassian notes that there's a crazy impenetrable shield around Feyre.
Yeah.
What's that about?
What could that be about?
Weird. And they have her sit down, and essentially Amren is the one to tell her what is about to go down. Yeah. Feyre's this has gone on too freaking long. It's my fault. I let it go on. Feyre tries to take it on herself, not putting the blame on Nesta, thinking, we thought you'd get better, but you freaking never did. Yeah. And Feyre's well, you are moving to the House of Wind and you're training with Cassian. Yep. And
you don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. And of course, Nesta is outraged. She's you can't make me do anything. Do
I'm not your prisoner.
Yeah. And Amren's well, technically, pushes up glasses. You are still a part of this court. Because you were a human emissary. And she, makes up some laws.
Yeah, she even pulls out papers. You can read it right here if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, and Cassian in his head is I didn't know we had to abide by any laws when we joined the court. It's all a ruse. Yeah. And basically your options are do these things or
we're going to banish you back to the human lands.
Yeah. And I don't feel like Nesta wanted to be there when she was a human.
Yeah, no.
Let alone now that she's a Fae and the humans hate Fae. So.
I feel like she is one of those that, feels like she doesn't belong anywhere. She doesn't belong with Faes. She hates them. But she also hates the humans.
Mm-hmm. She just hates.
She can't win.
Hateful.
Yeah. She hates her family.
She doesn't want to be a part of any of it. Yeah. I kind of feel that sometimes, girl.
Yeah, same.
But
I love my family, but
I do too. I love you, family, if you're listening.
I hate you sometimes.
Yeah. Fair. Also, rude.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know if I believe you. Suspicious eyes to the camera. Anywho, they don't give her a choice. Yeah. They do. And she obviously is not going to go back to the human lands. And they say that Elaine's at her apartment packing her shit up.
Yeah, and I think Feyre says, we went to the owner of your building and we're condemning it. So you're not going to have a house anymore.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they just gave him a lot of money. Yeah. It was a crap building anyway.
They're turning it into...
a homeless shelter?
A homeless shelter, basically, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I know. And
except, I'm not really for the, forcing Nesta to do this, but...
I don't know, though.
I feel like she also needs a swift kick in the ass.
Exactly. So. What's the other option, though?
Yeah.
She's spending... the whole, spark of this was that she spent 500 gold or something at the bar. On, these really expensive wines and, whatever. And Feyre got the bill and was, felt ashamed. I feel like Feyre's well, one, this looks really bad on our court. Yeah. And, how we maintain our rule. Yeah. Because, we just allow you to be a fool and do all these things. And two, it's taking advantage of them.
Yeah. Yeah. She's spending their money and they're also paying her rent still.
Yeah, which I imagine. She's not working. No. You know damn well. They're paying for everything for her. So, yeah, I think they have every right to be you gotta do this or else. I don't know. But it is a lot. And also, what else would change her, right? Yeah. Clearly, leaving her to figure it out herself is not the answer.
Sure. Ow. Oh. Stab me with your book corner.
Sorry. But it is an aggressive approach.
It is. Yeah.
So, yeah. She obviously opts to do that, I guess.
Yeah, she's I guess. I don't really have a choice.
I know. She, has one-on-one with Feyre. She wants to talk to Feyre alone. And Feyre really, holds her ground as High Lady, What?
They also tell her that, like, she's gonna move up to the House of the Wind, but she's not a prisoner. She's free to come and go as she pleases. But she's gotta walk up and down 10,000 stairs.
Yeah, so good luck with that.
So, have fun.
And they say that she's going to be training with Cassian at Windhaven, which
Yeah.
is the Illyrian camp, and also working at the library that's in the House of the Wind.
With Clotho.
Clotho is back.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Frickin' toots.
Toots. Is that a toot scenario?
Well, it's a excited toot.
Okay.
Fun toots!
Yay! Maybe, I guess. Anyway.
Wee.
So excited you toot. Maybe it happens. I feel like it happens for Goose sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or when she's
dogs?
exerting any sort of energy. Yeah. Anyway.
Are you telling me you've never excited tooted?
I probably.
Okay.
I can't remember a specific scenario, but you know.
Must not have been a good one.
How about y'all? Drop it in the comments. Weird things to ask listeners. Before they have their one-on-one combo, Reese says something to Nesta. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he gets all grumpy.
He's
and,
real grumpy with
yeah,
her.
he's sassy as hell. And Feyre's like, reel it in. She has to keep him in check, or else he has to leave. She's like, I told you to keep your mouth shut, basically. But then they have their conversation alone. Feyre keeps strong in her, you know, high lady status and her command. Like,
Yeah.
she's not slipping at all just because it's her sister. And there's no room. There's no room for her to argue.
Yeah. I have a little quote about Nesta and Feyre's conversation.
Okay. Oh, I have a quote too.
So I wonder if it's no, it's not the same.
Go ahead.
Basically they're talking, and Nesta asks why Feyre cares now because she didn't before. And Feyre tells her, it wasn't that I didn't care. We had multiple conversations about this. About you. I decided that giving you time and space would be best. And blah, blah, blah.
Solid quote.
All right, I'm just going to read my quote.
Okay.
I was trying to come up with more context, but she'd never, this is on page 32. 32.
3, 2, 1.
She'd never explained,
Go ahead.
I hate you. She'd never explained to Feyre, had never found the words to explain why she'd put such distance between them all. Elaine had been stolen by the cauldron and saved by Azriel and Feyre, yet the terror still gripped Nesta, waking and sleeping. The memory of how it had felt in those moments after hearing the cauldron's seductive call and realizing it had been for Elaine, not for her or Feyre. How it had felt to find Elaine's tent empty, to see that blue cloak discarded. Things had only gotten worse from there. I guess that's all.
Yeah, she feels very outside of it all.
Yeah. And I think that, like, she still is just blaming herself for everything. It's her fault Elaine got... I mean, she's blaming Feyre, too, I guess.
Yeah.
But at the root of it, I feel like she feels like everything is her fault. She didn't protect Elaine good enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's her fault their dad's dead because she hated him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. She's taking a lot of it on herself
Yeah.
unnecessarily. And that's part of her brooding state, you know. She's just
Yeah.
feeling very sorry for herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a quote, too, on
Okay.
page 36.
Okay.
And this is after, you know, Feyre has put her foot down, and she asks about Elaine, like, if she can see her before she goes, and Feyre's like, she'll come see you when she's ready. Like,
Yeah.
she's agreed to all this willingly. She thinks it's a good idea. And it says Nesta didn't want to talk about it, about the fact that it had always been her and Elaine, and somehow now it had become Feyre and Elaine instead. Elaine had chosen Feyre and these people and left her behind. Amryn had done the same. She'd made it clear on the barge. Nesta didn't care that during the war with Hybern, her own tentative bond had been formed with Feyre, forged over common goals. Protect Elaine, save the human lands. They were excuses, Nesta had realized, to paper over what now boiled and raged in her heart. Nesta didn't bother replying, and Feyre didn't speak again as she departed. parted. There was nothing to bind them together anymore. So she feels like this is a very final move. Like, I don't want anything to do with you now because you're ruining my life, Mom, is the vibe I get. You know? Like, oh.
Yeah. Poor me.
I hate you. I won't talk to you.
Yeah.
Silent treatment.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's what's going to happen. That's going down.
Yep.
And while they're having this conversation, Cass and Reese and Amryn are all in Reese's office, I think. And there's like a picture of Feyre above his desk. She painted him a self-portrait, and Cass thinks about like the one and only time he saw a Feyre painting. And I don't know why that's important.
Okay.
Oh, she was painting herself like when she was emaciated and malnourished, and he was like, I don't know, it was very like exposed part of Feyre. He very much respects her. I feel like we know that already, but like, you know, she trusts them enough to show that side of herself. And he's like, I was never that hungry, you know, I never was that malnourished and stuff, but he's just thinking of her when he sees that portrait. And Reese is all sorts of grumpy. He doesn't like the idea of Nesta and Feyre alone, and he's just brooding too.
Yeah.
Reese is having a time.
Yeah. And, yeah.
What's that about?
I don't know.
Why is he so extra now?
He really is.
But we did learn that freaking Cassian, last book, there was some dissension among the Illyrians.
Yeah.
And Cass sorted that out. Mm-hmm. He did something. I think he like went and visited everyone.
Sure.
And said that the Great Riot that year like took out a lot of the problem people.
Yeah.
Because they did the Great Riot. This crazy ass Illyrian freaking hazing.
They did. I mean, they do it every year, don't they?
It's every maybe.
I think it's every year.
Okay. It might
like
be.
Once a year, the 3 stars are at the top of the mountain, and that's when they do the Great Riot.
Yeah. Yeah. So it must be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took out a bunch of people.
Yeah.
That he didn't have to worry about too much. And so he's not worried about them nearly as much. Mm-hmm. And Reese tells Cass he wants him to like take on some bigger responsibilities.
Yeah.
And Cassian's like, oh jeez.
Yep.
What the heck?
Yeah, and he's like, you trying to say that whole Illyrian situation was a test? Were you testing me?
Yeah.
To see if I could handle it?
Uh-huh.
He could.
Yeah.
Obviously. So.
Well, yeah. Because what does Reese want him to do? He wants him to be like a courtier.
Yeah.
He wants him to go investigate the queens, what the human queens are up to.
Human queens, that's right. Because we still haven't really heard anything from any of them, right?
Yeah.
They're still quiet.
Like, Az can't find out much or whatever, and Mora's been off doing other things. Last book, she was also sent to go, like, keep peace with the allies and stuff, but
yeah,
the queens are still all together in their shared compound.
Yeah.
Minus Vasa, obviously.
Of course.
But they're still doing something, and we don't know what.
Yeah.
They're keeping it very under wraps. Mm-hmm. Somehow.
Just sketchy.
Sketchy.
Oh, and I wonder if that plays into what we were talking about earlier.
About what?
Well, I can't say anything. What we were talking about earlier. You know.
Oh, yeah. Maybe. We, this again is a reread for us.
Yeah,
so we, are stepping into it and be like, wait, what do we remember about this book?
I started reading this book and I was like, I don't remember any of this. But then little pieces were coming back.
Yeah, yeah. Even though it's the one we read most recently.
Well,
before we
that doesn't mean
again.
anything to me.
Yeah, me neither. My brain is trash. But
I also will say that, like, my first read through this series, I hated Nesta.
Yeah.
And I've grown to love her now in the reread. And so I think this book really wasn't my favorite the first time around.
Yeah. Because you were
because
mad at
I was mad at Nessie.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked her the first time through. I think I didn't like her until this book, though, honestly.
Yeah.
And probably not until, halfway through.
Yeah.
Although this section I kind of started seeing, like, why I liked her.
Yeah, for sure.
But anywho, Rhys just tells him that and he believe that the human queens are scheming something, and he wants him to look into it. So.
Yeah, and Cassian is like, well, why can't Az do it? Like, this is Az's job.
Yeah.
And Rhys is like, well, Az is juggling too many things right now. And I'm like, what is he doing?
I don't know. Az is up to a lot.
Why is he so busy?
Well, he's a spy and shadowy. He can do lots of things.
I know that, but what is he doing?
I don't know.
You can't just come out here and say he's too busy to do this one little thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a little thing, but...
and
not tell us what he's doing.
I know. Juggling more than he'll admit right now. Yeah, I do want to know what Az is up to. I mean, I know that he's probably, like, spying on the Allies to make sure there's nothing crazy going on. And maybe dealing with the Supreme Court and stuff. I don't...
Yeah, and the whole more than he's willing to admit makes me wonder if there's something going on with Elaine and him.
Maybe.
Because there was definitely something going on with them last book. Not last book, but
just in
Act of War.
general. I feel like they had a budding something.
They got a weird something going on.
There's some tension brewing.
So,
well, I also think Az is responsible, too, for, like, Vasa and Jurian and that situation. Grayson. I think he's, like, also keeping tabs on them. Lucian.
Yeah, but in this section, Cassian is the one that goes to talk to them. Not
That's
Azrael.
true. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, who knows, guys? What the heck's Az doing? I bet we'll probably find out.
Probably. And maybe we did, and I legit can't remember.
Yeah, me too. I'm not sure. But, yeah, Rhys is like, what, you scared? And he's like, no, it's fine. And they leave on, like, this is going to be a long few months. Talking about Nesta. Not even the, like, spy work he has to do now. Rhys is like, you're in for it, pal. But then, as they're headed out, they're getting ready to go, and Farrah's not winnowing him up. More comes back from a trip that she took to Valahan or something.
That sounds right.
Strolls in, and she's sassy as ever. I want to know more about Moore, too.
Yeah, I do, too. And I hope that one day we maybe get a book for her, too.
Yeah, I feel like there's more to Moore than we know.
Oh, for sure.
Because what the heck was that estate about last book?
Yeah.
I forgot.
And the weird creature in the shadows that she was like, you're familiar, but creepy, I'm gonna go. I want to know.
Curious.
I still wonder if it was Briaxis.
Maybe,
who,
but
by the way, has still not been found.
I know. But I feel like she would have said that, or like acknowledged it as him, if it was so familiar. It. Yeah, it's not either. It's not or they.
Yeah.
It does not have a gender.
I don't know. I don't know if she... I don't know.
I'm not sure. But it's not right now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm the one who started it. But yeah, more, winnows them up.
Yeah. She was in Valahan, by the way. I just found it.
Yeah, she was. And Cass asks her about it, and she's like, I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go. So he winnows her up and leaves right as they get there, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And so they're at the freaking House of Wind. And Cass is like, you are going to be staying in your old room. They share a weird long look at each other because they really just don't know how to interact because they had this like breaching situationship. Yeah. Perhaps.
And they like confessed things to each other and then just now they hate each other.
Now they hate each other. It's awkward. Yeah. There's lots of tension in the air. Yeah. But Nesta's also like, God, he's fine as hell. Yeah. And he's like, man, that ass can't quit. It won't quit. They have these longing stares. Yeah. I feel like they both want to say so much and just won't because of their egos and pride. And,
of course.
Whatever. But he's like, you're staying in your old room. I'm in this place. I'm down the hall or whatever. Az is next to me. And she's like, why do I need to know that? Yeah. Like, shut up.
God.
Shut up about it. And he's like, welcome home. And she talks about how, like, nothing has felt like home. Literally nothing. Her little slum apartment.
A little quote about that.
Okay.
It wasn't a home, this place. Just as her apartment hadn't been a home, neither had her father's fancy new house before Hybern had half destroyed it. and neither had the cottage or the glorious manor before that. Home was a foreign word.
Yeah.
That's on page 47.
Yeah, I'm looking at page 47 too, and she's thinking about... She can't quite believe that Elaine is the one who somehow adjusted at this point. And it's like, you know, I felt like I was getting to a place of, you know, finding my footing as Fae until the King of Hybern destroyed me. And, you know, I saved Cass. And, like, all these things happened. And she is looking at Cass and is like, him, I would do it again if forced to. And knowing that she couldn't hear that truth either. Like, she would have done all of it again to save Cass.
Yeah.
Even in this friggin' brooding, pissed state, she's like, man, I would have saved him again, even though I'm messed up and there's just too much going on. And he, like, walks her to her room, and they have an awkward exchange.
Of course they do.
As they will for a while.
It'll just continue on for this whole section.
Yeah.
Literally.
I know. It does. It just builds. And Cass says before he leaves, he's like, you know, Az is his room's here too, and he'd rather stay here than at the townhome, because the townhouse is now vacant, and I'm assuming they don't care who stays there. Yeah. And she's like, why? And he's like, I don't know, he's Az. He needs his space. But most of the time, it's just going to be you and me. Baby. And that ass. Just in that ass. In my hot, hot bod. Freaking Cass. And he wants her to eat, but she won't. So he just kind of, like, leaves her. And she's thinking about, like, the other options and kind of wallowing. She's like, well, I'm certainly not going back to the humans, but this sucks.
This sucks.
This is real poop. I'm
going to sleep for the whole day.
I'm just going to go to sleep.
So she does.
But when she gets into her room, like, you know, the familiar roaring builds in her ears. So she's starting to feel hollow and, like, sort of consumed by the magic roaring beneath her skin and all of these terrible memories. Like, as soon as she's in silence, she's feeling that again. Yeah. Poor girl.
I know.
All of this. So she goes to sleep.
She does.
She goes to sleep. And then Cass and Moore meet for lunch. Or something. And he asks her, or Nesta, nope. My goodness. Moore says something along the lines of, like, my vote would have been to just send her the Court of Nightmares. Like, she'd do real well there.
Yeah. She would fit in well, I feel like. And she'd put some of them assholes in their place. Yeah, maybe
it wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
She's just a Court of Nightmares emissary.
Yeah. I feel like she could put Care in his place.
Yeah, freaking Care, man.
Yeah.
But I feel like Caston's offended by this. He's like,
yeah, he is.
No.
He's like, God, I love her. I hate her, but I love her. Leave her alone.
Shut up. I won't admit it to you, but, like, quit trashing my girl. And so he asks her about Valahan.
Yeah.
Apparently her journey there, they, like, were trying to get them to sign a new treaty about the situation with the territories and such, because the wall's gone and whatever. And they refused to. Valahan and, like, a few others, Rask, and a couple others that are on the continent, like, they were worried about them allying with the King of Hybern during the war. Yeah. And so they're concerned that they, you know, might get up to no good. And freaking Valahan's like, yeah, well, if we sign this treaty, I feel like there's another war brewing and the lines are going to be redrawn anyway. Yeah. Because they're going to kill off a bunch of people, so we could get more land, perhaps.
I thought we were done with this war bullshit.
Yeah, but the human queens, who knows what they're freaking doing?
They're stirring, apparently.
Apparently they're stirring the pot.
Their army isn't, they're up to hood shit.
Hood shit. Well, their army wasn't at all impacted because they never joined the war. Right. So they have, like, full forces, whereas all of these Fae dudes lost a bunch of folk. Because, well, they fought human queens. Jeez. Yeah. And then they talk a little bit about Cassie. Good grief.
You said Cassing have to.
About Cassin. I almost said it again. Cass. Just leave it at Cass.
Cass.
Having to play the courtier role. And Moore's like, good luck.
Yeah.
It's fine. You got this. She brings up him going to visit the queens.
Yeah.
And he's like, freaking, why don't you have Lucian do it? He's their buddy. He's been up in that situation for a while.
It's true, yeah.
And she basically is like, well, because of that, I don't think he has an unbiased, report back about them.
Yeah.
He can't give us unbiased information.
Yeah, we can't really trust him anymore.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying.
With his band of exiles. Because their stupid name, really. That's the reason.
Can't trust an exile.
Yeah. Especially a band of them. Come on.
Come on.
You don't know when they're going to whip out their instruments?
What kind of music do you think they play?
Polka.
Yes. That is the only correct answer.
Obviously. Yeah. And he's like, well, God, fine. I guess I'm going to be I'm going to have to be the one to do it. But I don't want to. And he asks, why Vasa hasn't already been contacted. My mouth is moving faster than my brain.
I can tell.
And she's like, it's just, we're piecing it together now, but just shh, it's okay. You gotta do it. It's okay. So he knows he has to do that. And he tells Moore that he misses her.
Yeah.
And we find out that freaking, they talk a little bit about, Care's bargain with Reese about coming to Velaris sometime.
Yeah. He's never come.
He hasn't come, but why?
I don't know.
Well, Eris bought her time, is what she says.
Right. That's right.
But we don't know what it
Eris
means.
is still helping him out.
Yeah, but we don't know what he did
No.
to buy her time.
No.
But he's like, I wonder if Moore knows and Reese knows. But I don't know, Cass. It doesn't say right now, so who knows what's good there. Oh, he showed Reese in his mind, what had happened.
Whatever Eris had offered Care in exchange for not coming here was still a mystery. You're right.
Yeah.
At least to Cassian. Reese probably knew.
Well, he'd invited Reese into his mind to see exactly why he'd convinced Care to indefinitely delay his visit to Velaris.
Yeah.
So Reese definitely knows, and Moore
Reese
probably knows.
And he says Moore probably knows because she's pale, and he's like, no, he probably did something big.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows, though? Was that your tummy?
It was.
So, anywho, he's like, all right, well, I love you.
Yep.
Gives her a kiss on the head.
Missy, bye.
Missy, bye. Get some rest.
Yep.
She's off for a few days, but she's going to be leaving soon.
Yep.
Then
we swap back to Nesta.
Swapping back to
Good old
Nasty.
Nasty.
And she, wakes up in the darkness.
Yep.
And is kind of confused.
Yep.
And starts thinking about her mom. And how, she was her mom's possession.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nesta was the only one that their mom really liked.
Yeah.
She says she, used Elaine like a doll.
Mm-hmm.
And said some bullshit Elaine will be the one to get married for looks.
Yeah, essentially, use Elaine as a dowry thing.
Yeah.
We make money off her.
And Feyre was just, not important at all.
They don't mention Feyre at all.
No.
Mom doesn't give two shits about Feyre.
No, she hates her.
I know.
Which...
Rude. Feyre?
I feel like her mom resents her because she's the secret love child of a Fey lover or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm saying.
But, yeah, maybe.
I saw another theory.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this on this podcast, so it's fine. It's fine anyways. We're on the
Perhaps.
last book.
Yeah, whatever.
I saw someone talking about a theory that Feyre's mom was a Fey, and that Tamlin knew her. And I was like, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did it say anything more than that?
Probably.
Okay. Well, we'll have to Google it later.
It was just it was something I saw on one of my Facebook book groups.
Nice. Yeah, but I don't know. The mom it seems terrible.
She's suspicious.
She says, she had mentioned Elaine will marry for beauty and you'll marry for conquest.
Yeah.
She wants Nesta to marry strategically, or wanted her to. And she would call her my little queen.
My cunning little queen.
My cunning little queen. And I have a quote on page 60 if you want to hear about it.
All right, toots.
It's excited toots again?
Yeah.
Great. Nesta had once delighted in the title, Little Queen, had done her best to fulfill its promise, indulging in a dazzling life that had melted away as soon as the debtors swept in and all her so-called friends had revealed themselves to be nothing more than envious cowards wearing smiling masks. Not one of them had offered to help save the Artron family from poverty. They had thrown them all, mere children and a crumbling man, to the wolves. So Nesta had become a wolf, armed herself with invisible teeth and claws, and learned to strike faster, deeper, more lethally, had relished it. But when the time came to put away the wolf, she had found it had devoured her too. The stars flickered above the city as if blinking their agreement. Nesta curled her hands into fists and climbed back into bed. And I'm like, okay, hear me out. Yes, okay. Nesta is just like a sharp-tongued kind of ass, you know, and her form of protection is just like cut people deep.
Yeah.
But that's about it. She didn't do anything else.
Yeah.
To protect her family.
It's true. She's got
She's
mean
just
words.
Savage.
Yeah.
She's just a bully.
Yeah.
At this point, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, that was her whole shtick, I guess. I mean, her mother was grooming her to be a queen, like a ruling... What's the word I'm looking for? Mean one. A mean queen.
A mean queen. Yeah. That's
sure.
the word.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she just was that, I guess, in personality.
Yeah.
But it's kind of her mom's fault, so...
Yeah, I don't really like their mom.
No, from the very little we've learned.
I'm very glad she's brought up multiple times in this section. Mm-hmm. And I didn't remember that at all. Like, I thought that we never heard about the mom again. And yeah. I'm glad that we're getting some pieces of her in this book because it's fueling my theory.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know if... I don't remember anything about this book, so...
I don't either.
But I feel like I would remember if that was ever mentioned, perhaps.
If Feyre being Fae was mentioned?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely not mentioned.
Right. So, like, maybe that'll come out later or in something else.
Yeah, if it's even a thing. It's just...
Who knows?
But I feel like there's certain things when Nesta is thinking about her mother that I'm like, girl.
Girl. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see one day.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or we'll never know.
No, I mean, we'll find out. I'm sure something.
Yeah.
I mean, if the series ends and we never find out that Feyre's mom was a Fae, then we can assume that she wasn't.
We'll get an answer either way.
Yeah.
Either a non-answer or explicit.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Hoodola.
Cass gets home.
He does.
And he, like, tries to go to bed, but he's, you know...
He's brooding.
He's thinking about all of his new duties. He's thinking about Nesta.
Yep, he's got a lot.
He's got a lot
going on.
Poor Cassie.
Okay, here... Ew, don't ever call him Cassie.
Moore calls Reese Reese.
That's true.
Come on.
But Cassie?
Yeah, it's not good. Anyway.
It's bad.
Carry on.
Reese was like... Az has a lot on his plate right now. I think Nesta is enough on Cassian's plate. Come on.
Truly. Well, that and, like, his duties as the freaking captain of the guard or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's still got to make sure the Lyrians are in line and, like, that they're training their women and, you know.
Now you gotta go talk to Jurian and... I almost said Vurian. Jurian and... Vasa and...
You're mixing Jurian and Vasa.
The other one's
Lucian.
Thank
Come
you.
on. I can't believe you forgot Lulu.
L-Dog.
So, anywho, he's brooding.
Yeah.
He's having a time. And he hears Az enter or close his door in some capacity. So he knows Az is back. Mm-hmm. He's like, the only reason I heard it is so Az...
Is because Az wanted me to know that he was here. Yeah.
But he doesn't want to talk.
Yeah.
And he's having a time, man. And he's thinking about everything. And just, it's a lot. Yeah.
And then Reese is flying by or something and is like, why are you up so late? In his brain.
Yeah, he just checks on him. Yeah. I don't even think Reese is flying. He just says, like, it feels like if I look in the sky, I might find him.
Oh, you're right.
But, yeah, he's checking in, mind to mind. And... he's like, you know, it is what it is, man. And he's like, she's been sleeping all day. And Reese is like, you got there before 11. It's 3 a.m.
Still sleeping?
Yeah. He's like, yeah, well, whatever, dude. I don't know what to tell you. I'm tired. Leave me alone. But Moore's going to bring him up to Windhaven tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And they say goodnight. Love you. Smooches. XO.
I have a small quote.
All right, give it to me.
This is on page 62. Tomorrow would be a battlefield unlike any other he'd walked onto, talking about training Nesta.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cassian wondered how much of him would be left intact by the end of it. Like, it's going to destroy him to have to work closely with her.
I mean...
Emotionally and mentally.
And perhaps physically they'll destroy each other.
I hope they do. Come on.
Never. Anyway, the next morning happens. It comes.
It does.
And dude, he's like, dude, you gotta freaking eat,
Yeah,
bro.
they're arguing about food.
I know.
He really is. She really is like, stop, Mom.
And she's trying to fight him at every corner.
Yeah.
Everything.
Every small
To
thing.
be fair, he's trying to feed her like porridge.
Yeah, but like, you
I
gotta
don't
eat
really want
something.
that shit
I don't either.
Can you give me like eggs, meat?
Give me some sausage.
Yeah, I want some links.
Give me some of that sausage, Cassie.
And also breakfast sausage. God.
Give me some of that bacon.
That meat. But she refuses for a minute. And he's like, you're going to regret it. Like, you really got to eat, dude.
Yep.
Or else you will not have any energy to train. And she's like, yeah, well, I'm not participating anyway. Also, I'm not hungry. And he's like, you're lying through your teeth. Come on. And they just go at each other for a minute. Not in a good way either. It's just anger.
Yeah.
But she then starts to eat. Oh, he starts talking smack to her. He's like, listen, I know how it feels, like what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to recover after taking lives, and, you know, anyone who's done it has been where you are. And I know what's good here.
Yeah.
And also, I understand your father was terrible.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be okay, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I don't need your opinions.
Mm-hmm.
You filthy animal.
Yeah. While they're arguing about her eating, he kind of hits a little deep.
Oh?
Yeah, he says, not eating won't bring your father back.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, ow.
I know. This is really what he's cutting at.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's like Reese did with Feyre, trying to get reactions. Like, make her feel something. But yeah, he does cut deep.
Just ow.
I know. He's like, we gotta cut the bullshit. Just get over yourself, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone, I understand. Let me be here for you, I think is what he's trying to
Yeah.
say.
He's been through a similar path.
He knows, you know, how he's managed before.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't need your opinions. And he's like, well, I'll keep it to myself if you eat. And so she starts to.
So she does. She's like, fine.
Shut your mouth. And with all of this, you know, wicked interaction, he's like, glad to see you woke up ready to play, Nesta.
Mm-hmm.
And then she remembers him saying, I have no regrets in this life but this, that we did not have time. That I did not have time with you, Nesta. I will find you again in the next world, the next life, and we'll have that time, I promise. This is what he was saying as his dying words.
Mm-hmm.
She's remembering this as she's looking at Cass.
Yep.
But also won't allow herself to, like, indulge or feel those feelings, you know?
Yeah, it says right after that, she relived those moments more often than she cared to admit. So she's, like, thinking about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
Yeah.
Just freaking admit it. Just admit that you love him.
I know.
And things would be so much easier.
Well, what made this come up is, like, he's like, all right, we gotta get ready. And on our way out, he, like, grabs her by the arm or something. And and she's, like, getting the feels from it.
He says to her, glad you woke up ready to play. His voice dropped to a low rumble.
He's been fucking with her in this section.
I'm like,
Say it to me, Cassian.
Rumble to me.
Rumble to me. Couldn't help the thundering of her heart at that voice.
Yeah. The challenge in his eyes, the nearness and size of him. Honey.
Yeah, just his touch and, like, proximity brings her blood to a boil. She's hot and bothered by Sir Cass, but she's also like, I still want to be mad, so fuck you.
Yeah.
But anyway, she goes to get ready.
She does.
And, this, too. It's all in the same section. They're having their little sparring, you know?
Yeah.
And it's all about getting to one another. And she says, if you think this training nonsense is going to result in you climbing into my bed, you're delusional. I'd sooner let in a mangy street dog. And he's like, oh, it's not going to result in me climbing in your bed. You'll climb into mine.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'd rather not. He's like, we'll see. You have 3 minutes to get ready. But they just like, they keep
the sexual
poking at
tension,
each other. It's
man.
thick already.
And we're only not even 70 pages in.
I know. Literally right after that, it's like those pants were going to kill him. Her fighting leathers.
That ass, though.
It won't quit. It's thick. Yeah, he's checking out her ass through her leathers. He's hot and bothered. That was why he couldn't stop himself from grabbing her on her way out.
Yeah.
They're both like struggling to keep it in. And he remembers like their winter solstice interaction where she basically was like, I want nothing from you.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with you.
I made my thoughts very clear about you, and I don't want to talk to you.
And it broke him. It really made him sad.
And he threw his gift in the tundra.
In the tundra! It's already buried in snow. But that did break him. Poor Cass. And he's thinking about how he like spent months freaking recovering and sort of figuring it out, and his just opted to stay away from her. Because it's easier.
It's easier.
Being around
it's
her.
like heart shattering to be around her.
Yeah, especially without much of an ass she is.
Yeah.
She's angry.
And with that ass.
An ass that won't quit. But then they go.
They do.
They get out there. And freaking
it's cold.
It's cold.
It's cold.
And Devlon's there. Freaking Devlon.
Yeah.
And he's like, Cass tells him they're training, and Devlin says something about like, we're gonna have to bury those weapons when she's done with them.
Yeah. Are you bleeding?
Yeah. Ugh. Stop.
As if.
Well, he's like, if she was on her cycle, she wouldn't touch him at all.
Yeah.
Or something.
But as it stands, they still are going to be buried because...
Okay, but do they bury weapons every time their females train? That's a lot of wasted weapons. Females. Or they just make the females use the same weapons over and over again. So probably, they use their own tarnished weapons. God, I hate them.
I hate men.
Yeah, me too. And Cass is like, we're not doing that, though. Like, you're dumb. You're dumb. We're not going to be burying weapons. And they go over to start training.
Nesta's so sassy.
Yeah.
Devlon says something about, like, what is her business here? And Nesta just smiles and says witchcraft.
Yeah.
I'm like, get it, girl.
I know. I mean, their first interaction, she's like, I am a witch, yeah. And Cassian's like, no. But they go to train, and Nesta's a little shithead. She freaking just sits on a rock.
Yep.
And
freezes her ass off.
Yeah, and embarrasses the crap out of Cassian.
In front of all the other Illyrians.
All of the other freaking...
They're just standing around like, man, he can't even handle that chick.
All of those masochistic Illyrians. Yeah, and she even has it in her head, like, get up, stop embarrassing him.
Yeah, like she wants to.
Yeah, but she can't bring herself. Stop being a little shit. So he just does his own routine. Yeah. And the whole time she's like, damn.
Look at that tummy, though.
Hey. That tummy. Where's your tummy? Sorry. And she's like, let him hate her. It's better this way. Mm-hmm. Come on, Nesta. You don't have to be hateful and hated. You're worth loving.
Let him love you.
Yeah.
Because he really wants to.
I know.
Let yourself love him.
Why don't you love... Why? Just do it. I want to love Cassian.
No,
come on.
Buddy. But then, I think more comes... Yeah, more comes to get him. Mm-hmm. And more tells Nesta... My vote would have been to dump you right back into human lands, you know?
Yeah, and Nesta's like, oh, I know. Good thing being Feyre's sister has its advantages. What a little hoity-toity. Yeah, stop. But of course, Moore's like, yee. They're all sleeping.
Oh, yeah. Moore also asks Nesta why she's not training with Cassian, and she's like, I'm just taking a break. Uh-huh. You lying little shit. Ugh.
I know. Nesta.
God.
Quit with your antics. Yeah, they have that back and forth. And more's early.
Yeah. She also tells... I just love how savage Moore is to Nesta's face. Like, everyone else, I feel like, is kind of beating around the bush a little bit with her.
I think Reese would be too if Pharaoh allowed him to be.
Yeah. But Moore tells her, I knew plenty of people like you once. You never deserve the benefit of the doubt that good people like him give you. Talking about Cassian.
Yeah.
And Nesta's like, yeah, bitch, I know.
I'm aware I suck. That's, like, the hard part of it, too, is that Nesta's got this internal battle of she's just, like, drowning in grief and this power that she doesn't know what to do with and doesn't want anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
she doesn't want to be such an ass.
But she also feels like she's protecting people by keeping them at an arm's length.
Yeah, like she doesn't deserve to be loved by anyone.
Right.
Which is really freaking sad.
I know, frick, man. Frick.
God.
Poor Nesta.
Poor Nesha.
Nesha.
Anyways.
Yep. Anywho. They make it back to the House of Wind.
They do. And Nesta's got to go to the library, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Down to the library and encounters Clotho.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this moment where she sees Clotho and her hands. And she sort of like retreats into herself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a quote on page 77 that says, Nesta didn't want to know what had been done to Clotho, the library's high priestess, to render her thus. That is a sentence. To have her tongue cut out and then deliberately healed that way as to damage, so the damage might never be undone. Wow. Males had hurt her and hand shoving her down into freezing water, voices laughing and sneering. This is into her own thoughts. A brutish male face grinning as he anticipated the trophy that would be pulled forth. She couldn't stop it, couldn't save Elaine, sobbing on the floor, couldn't save herself. No one was coming to rescue her, and those males would do what they wanted, and her body was not her own, not human, not for much longer. Nesta wrenched from her thoughts back to the present, blasting back the memory. And, like, she has so much PTSD.
Oh, for sure.
And just, flashbacks of terrible times in her life. Mm-hmm. Poor girl.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of their thought behind sending her to the House of Wind is to show her, like, other damaged women.
Yeah, to the library specifically.
Yeah, who are recovering and healing. And
and the library is like a sanctuary for them. So
right.
Maybe it'll be the same for Nesta.
Yeah. And I think seeing them is, like, showing her that that's how she's being viewed also.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit, it is true.
Yeah.
But Clotho's like, saw. Except written, because she can't talk.
She can't talk. And she basically gives Nesta her tasks for the day, which is just like reshelving books.
Yeah.
Seems simple enough.
Mm-hmm.
Except you gotta walk a bunch of stairs.
I know. She's gotta go reshelve stuff, and Nesta's, as she heads off to do so, she feels like Clotho has an understanding of her without saying anything. Like, they have some secret understanding of one another. And she's thinking to herself that she's worthless and nothing, thinking that she hates everything, and she's just tired of wanting to be anywhere but her own head. And she feels like Clotho understands that feeling without saying it, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, good. Maybe you find common ground with these ladies.
Yeah.
But it keeps her busy, the task.
It does.
It keeps thoughts away.
Yeah, which Nesta has a thought as she's, I guess, getting ready to walk away from Clotho that I want to read.
Mm-hmm.
Made me really sad.
Yeah.
This is on page 78. I am worthless and I am nothing. Which she nearly says out loud, I guess, to Clotho.
Yeah.
I hate everything that I am, and I'm so, so tired. I'm tired of wanting to be anywhere but in my own head.
Yeah.
Girl is depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And traumatized.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Obviously. It's not good.
Sad.
I know. And when Nesta goes to leave, Clotho tells her, like, Feyre speaks really highly of you. Mm-hmm. And Nesta's like, find that hard to believe. God dang. Oh, she says, no one likes a liar priestess as she leaves. But then she Cassian doesn't come to dinner. Mm-hmm. So she kind of has dinner to herself. And she asks for wine, and the house won't give it to her. This is when she starts realizing that the house is sentient or something.
We've got another smart house here.
We have a smart house situation. Yeah.
The Moon Palace in friggin'
Serpent in the Wings of Night.
Serpent in the Wings of Night was a smart house. Now we got another smart house.
Yeah, because it, like, plops the food down, and she asks for something specific, but it won't give her wine. It gives her a glass of water.
Yeah.
She's like, fine, I'll get my own wine.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna go down
out.
the stairs.
Yeah. Okay.
Good luck, honey.
Will you, Nesta?
She makes it, what, 100?
111.
Okay.
Is her first attempt. Yeah, she starts barreling down them and realizes quickly, one, that it's like a dark spiraling staircase, so it's disorienting, and she's dizzy as shit, and she's weak as hell, because, one, she hasn't been eating and, like, won't train, and so she only makes it 111, and by the time she starts back up, she's, like, crawling to get to the top, because she's so winded and messed up.
Yeah.
Which I skipped stuff to say that, apparently.
Yeah. I was just, like, trying to find it.
You're like, wait a minute, what? That does come up. But we skipped to Cassian.
Yeah, Cassian's gonna go talk to Vasa and Jurian.
Yeah.
And Lulu.
Mm-hmm. He, goes.
And winnows him.
Yeah, but won't
down, but
join
she's
him.
like, I'm gonna go, because I don't want to see any of them.
Before he left, though, he had, like, given everyone an update, Reese and Feyre and Amryn, about Nesta, and Amryn tells him, let her dig her own grave, boy, then offer her a hand. Keep reaching out your hand. Like, regardless of what she does, just keep reaching out your hand.
Yeah.
Which sticks. Like, that's a thing that becomes his, like, internal mantra on how to deal with her.
Yeah.
But they get there, and Lucian greets Cassian.
Oh, and he says, I thought that's what this past year had been, so it has been at least a year.
Yeah, of her brooding.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I guess we're a year out from the war then.
Yeah, I think it's a little more than that, but yes.
Yeah. But I guess the freaking Vasa or Jurian, whatever, they're...
The Band of Exiles.
Yeah, Grayson's dad gave him, like, a pretty nice estate.
Yeah.
And they get there and Lucian greets him and seems really, like, distraught and upset.
Yeah.
Because Eris is there.
Freaking Eris is
Freaking
there.
Eris, man. Come on.
Yeah.
And...
Well, and Eris makes some freaking comment. Maybe this is after they all talk. But he makes some comment. He, like, goes outside and can smell more.
Oh, yeah.
And
this
he's
is
like,
at the end.
She didn't even want to stick around.
Yeah. Of course
Ugh.
not. Icky.
I get that you're, like, trying to help them.
And we don't...
And you did something really nice, but, like, fuck you, dude.
But also, we don't know what actually went down, we come to find. Like, the day that he found more.
Yeah.
He says something about that at some point, but yeah, we're skipping ahead. They start talking about the queens.
They do.
Vasa and everybody. Eris, Lucian, etc. Mm-hmm. And they're worried that, you know, the queens are up to something. They're also worried about that.
Mm-hmm. Cassian's impressed by friggin' Lucian. Which is weird.
Yeah, he's like, wow, he can really play all these roles that he's been handed.
Yeah,
well.
he has 3 roles. He's the emissary for the Night Court, ally to Jurian and Vasa, and liaison to Tamlin.
Yeah, he asks about the Spring Court, and Lucian's just like, fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then Eris pipes up and says that a dozen or so of his soldiers have gone missing.
Oh,
and that even his, like, fancy hounds can't find them. And they wonder if the queens took them.
Yeah.
Especially Breelyn, which is the one who was turned into a crone.
To an old lady.
She was given immortality, but it took her beauty and her youth.
Yeah, she was the youngest, right?
I think so.
And she was the first one to jump in.
The first greedy little bitch.
Cauldron was like, haha, joke's on you, sucker.
Yeah, so it's under good suspicion from Vasa that she's probably the one behind this because she's pissed.
Yeah.
So they think that Breelyn's, like, got something to do with this and maybe has taken soldiers. And they worry that they're trying to get together to start another war because they want land and they're angry about what had happened. Especially because, you know, well, they were Hybern's ally.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they should be considered as an enemy. Then they go on to say that they kind of theorize that, like, this could be, the stealing of the soldiers could be to sow tension, to, like, make them pin against each other.
Yeah.
Assuming that somebody else took them.
Oh, and they talk about, like, the humans would have had to have someone to help them because they can't winnow. And then,
Yeah,
I
they
think
bring
it's
up...
Cassie. No, Lucian was like, wait, Jurian, who reminds us that the human queens can winnow.
But not
Winnow?
unless they're all together.
Right.
And also, they still assume that they need help with stuff. I don't know. They, like, mentioned Breelyn having more power than she should, essentially. I don't know in what context, but there's, like, good motive. She's mad. She hates Nesta for having destroyed the cauldron or whatever.
Yeah,
she wants to cause a ruckus and pit the Fae against each other.
She blames Nesta for her being an old bitch now.
Yeah, and if she can winnow without the other queens, like, what's that about? That's suspicious.
Right.
Because I guess generally they'd have to have all 7 or whatever of them together.
No, they said, Vasa says only when several of us are together, so not
Okay.
necessarily all of them, but
Okay.
at least 3, I would say.
But they talk about perhaps the other queens having left, and, you know...
Mm-hmm.
Vasa says, yes, the other's departure would serve to remove obstacles to her ambitions, and she'd only do this. Okay, so them keeping her down, she's probably, if they're not together and winnowing alone, that's suspicious. And also it opens the door for her to do whatever the heck she wants, basically.
Yeah.
And so they start theorizing, or Vasa does, that it might be Koshi.
Koshi, yeah.
Freaking the Bone Carver's brother.
Yeah.
Which, they put it in here as if we didn't know that. And I'm like, who didn't know that?
Yeah.
I don't think they ever explicitly said Koshi was the one who kept Vasa.
Who kept Vasa, but...
Come on.
If us mere mortals could figure it out, you guys, come on.
Come on. It was pretty easy to piece together. My goodness. So they think that he's controlling this and, like, giving her extra power and helping her along.
Mm-hmm.
And that both he and Breelyn need to be, like, spied on to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Because, well, he's a death god, and he might have the intention of being freed from his lake or whatever, so he could go do death god stuff.
Yeah.
And that might be why he's getting involved at all.
Yeah. Eris says that, like, some people say he's death itself.
Yeah.
Not just a... whatever.
Death god?
Yeah.
But Bone Carver was too. But yeah, they have all this, and they say, or Vasa's like, send your Shadow Singer to go spy on them, because we need to see what's going on here. And as Cass is going to leave, Eris stops him outside. Says the thing about more.
About more, yeah.
And then he's also like, oh, by the way, there's more information. I just wasn't going to say it in front of everyone else.
Yeah.
But because we're allies.
Whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say he tells him that freaking Baron, his dad,
Yeah.
is like conspiring with Breelyn.
Yeah.
Made a treaty or something.
Yeah.
Or a bargain. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But he wants to get with Breelyn as an ally.
Yeah, and he also tells Cassian... I was interrupting you, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
But he says, whatever you're doing, I want in. Because he wants to get a leg up on his father.
Yeah. And
basically. And then that's when he tells Cassian all of it.
I know. He's like, so you're worried about Breelyn's alliance with Baron is what it means for you, not for, I don't know, the whole freaking, the rest of us? Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, basically. I just want to defend the Autumn Court. But Cassian's like, well, if I just killed you right now, like, maybe that would end some things. And he was like, no, then you definitely have a war on your hands.
Yeah.
You know, like, you really shouldn't do that, because my father would go straight to Breelyn and Koshi, I guess, and shit would hit the fan. Like,
Yeah.
Baron's already in cahoots with the potential enemy. Don't give him a reason to pull the trigger.
Yeah. I hate Baron.
Yeah.
I'm really sick of him.
He's not a good guy.
No.
He's a butt.
He always has been.
Yeah.
We never should have trusted him.
I know. I mean, he did do the thing.
I guess.
During the war, but now that there's all this, like, land up for grabs and Tamlin's AWOL and, like, the borders aren't protected. I think, Eris talks about how Baron went into cahoots because the Spring Court's so vulnerable. So if he were to start a war, like, one court would fall, and it's the easiest one to take down because Tamlin has nobody. Mm-hmm. And Eris says something about, like, there's a beast
wandering the grounds
who hasn't taken his human or fae form in a long time. And I'm like, right. So Tammy's
Friggin'
just out there
Tammy's
beasting.
having a big old tantrum.
He's lost his mind to the beast.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of information in that chapter.
Yeah, it was a heavy chapter.
I know.
I was like, dang.
We're Dan back into like war strategy. I don't know where Dan came from.
We're Dan back in.
Come on, Dan.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah. Whoa. I was thinking of myself.
Clearly.
Just kidding.
Always.
Yeah. So this is when Nesta tries the stairs.
Yeah.
She knows that the wine cellar is going to be locked and stuff, so she does her 111 steps, comes back up, and by the time she's crawling up to the top, Cass is there, like, laughing at her.
Yeah.
He starts making fun of her. Before he came, though, he went and updated Reese and Feyre about the whole interaction.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how, Eris wants to avoid war because he knows it exposed him as an ally with the Night Court.
Yeah.
And that Cass needs kind of buddy with him. Like, you're guard commander, so you gotta talk strat and stuff with him.
Yeah.
Sorry about it.
Sorry.
And that Az, I think, is gonna go check out Breland and Otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is there.
He's waiting, and he's like, man, I waited for minutes, and it was worth it.
Yeah. Minutes. And he tells her that he, as in Reese, used to have to climb those stairs as punishment.
Yeah.
And
the puke train.
Yeah. How it, like, exerted them so much that one of them puked, and it caused them all to puke.
One of them puked, and then the other one puked on... Wait.
Yeah.
One of them puked on one of them. That one puked on the other one, and then the last one they got puked on puked again on themselves.
Oh no, I got so dizzy on the hike down that I puked on Az. He then puked on Reese, and Reese puked all over himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the height of summer, and so they puked again when they passed it on the way up.
On the way up because of the smell.
I was like, oh, that's nasty.
Talk about a puke train.
Seriously. But I also feel like that's going to happen to me every time someone else pukes.
Same.
I worry about that with my daughter when she gets bigger.
Yeah.
And is sick.
Yeah.
You know it's going to happen.
Yep.
Anywho,
I'm not gonna
What?
say anything. Nothing. I'm not gonna bring it up.
No.
Not on the internet.
About my stupid fumble?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Nothing happened, guys. It's fine. But when she tells him that she made it 111 steps, he's like, pathetic.
Yeah.
You should probably train. I don't know. I'm just saying.
And she's like, man, the stupid house wouldn't give me wine.
Uh-huh. And she's like, but it was 2 hours or 200 coming up. And he's like, still pathetic. Relax. You're not.
She tells him to go fly into a boulder.
Yeah. You're not impressing
I'm like,
me.
ooh, burn.
I know. Go fly into a boulder. Which is a funny thing to say, because, like, when he's flying, he's not ground level.
Right.
I'm just saying. You
Right.
could have picked, like, a mountain.
Go fly into a mountain.
Or
Go fly into a tree.
go fly
a pine
into
tree, a real pokey
a
one.
bird that's in the air.
Get creative.
That's not good
I'm
either.
looking at you, YouTube.
Yeah. But he keeps reaching out his hand. He even thanks
does.
it to himself. He's like, participate.
Mm-hmm.
You could get better if you actually trained. Just saying. It's okay.
And
You're
he tells
fine.
her if she gets tired of being weak as a mewling kitten, come to training
Yeah.
and participate.
Yeah. Freaking nasty.
So there.
Come on. But then the next day at breakfast, Nesta is messed up.
Yeah, she's sore as hell.
She's sore as hell, and she tries to hide it. She makes her way in. Az is at breakfast. Cassian's there. And this interaction killed me because it's so funny. They're just back and forth while Az is, like, trying to contain himself.
Yeah.
But Az, like, knows that Cass knows she's in pain and is, like, kind of poking at her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I'd rather train with Azriel. And Cass is like, yeah, okay, good luck.
Yeah.
He's worse than me.
Yeah.
Like, you got the better of the two.
Nesta also takes a minute to, like, appreciate Az's beauty. And I'm like,
I know.
Saucy.
She's like, I've always thought he's the most beautiful of the three.
Uh-huh.
He is gorgeous. I love Azriel. I get it.
Yep.
But they start just going back and forth at each other while Az is laughing or trying not to. She's talking about when she gets up from the table. She tries to do it stealthily, but, like, obviously can't use her legs well.
Yeah.
And he's like, it doesn't count if you just use your hands.
If
And
your hands do all the work.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm sure that's what you think every night when you're alone. And he's like, is that what those smutty books told you, that it can only happen at night? He's like, in fact, it can happen anytime.
Dawn's first light, or when I'm bathing, or even after a long, hard day of practice.
The emphasis on long, hard. And this whole time, Ad's like, trying not to laugh about it. She's like, well, sounds like you have a lot of free time on your hands, Cassian. I love it. And after all that interaction, Az is like, you're in deep, dude. You're in some deep shit with this one.
Yeah.
Because he can smell on Cassian his arousal.
Yeah. 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 Cassian says, I know. He had no idea how it happened. How he'd gone from mocking Nesta to taunting her with his own bedroom habits. Then imagining her hand wrapped around him. I'm not going to read the rest of that.
You got down a smut path. Yeah, just more sexual tension.
The tension.
It's thick. You could cut it with a knife. Butter. I know. And Cass is like, I thought you were supposed to be the chaperone. And Naz is like, dude, I'm not enough for that. Like, you two are something else. Yeah. So they go to the to train again. And, of course, Nessa still does not participate. What?
Nothing. I'm just rereading that section.
The giggle that just came out of you. Children at smut scenes. But of course Nesta does not participate in training.
Yeah.
Again.
She said it's on the same rock as the day before.
Mm-hmm. And he the whole time is like, just freaking, if you got up you'd be less cold. And she's like, fine. Or if you want to sit on that rock and freeze for the next 2 hours, go ahead. Fine.
Good one, Ness.
Mm-hmm. But he just, keeps reaching out his hand. He keeps trying.
Yep.
And by the time he's finished, he has business to attend to. He only does 1 hour of what's supposed to be a 2-hour session.
Yeah. And he sends her to Reese's mom's house.
Yeah. And tells her some stuff, like memories about having grown up there. Mm-hmm. And she gets lost in the fire. Yeah. Like, he sees her check out because there's a fire ablaze. And he's like, I wonder where she went, Wonders what took her away.
Yeah.
Like, what horror is she experiencing right now?
Yeah, and he sees her flinch when a log pops in the fire.
Yeah. So it's like his first time seeing her react like that and sort of check out into her trauma. Yep.
And he's trying to, be there for her. He's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And she just doesn't answer, so he just leaves. Mm-hmm. He's like,
well, he's like, if you don't want to be here, also there's some shops, you can go explore. Thinking that, give her an out if it doesn't want to. Yeah. If it's not that. And so what does Nesta do?
Well, she goes to the little shop.
With Emery.
The shop. And this is the shop where, in the last book, Cassian bought all of the winter gear for the people who needed it.
Mm-hmm. And it's Emery. Yeah. And Nesta notices her clipped wings and, wonders about that. And Emery tells her a bit. And she wants, warmer fighting leathers because she's so cold. Mm-hmm. And Emery's like, well, that's not normally a complaint, but I can, have them special ordered for you.
Yeah.
And just put it on the High Lord's tab or whatever. And Nesta's like, well, I'm cut off, so that's not going to work. And when Emery asks why, at first she, does not want to tell her because she's like, I don't know you well enough for that. But she does start, divulging a little bit. She feels like Emery was so honest with her story about the wings being clipped and stuff that she, gives a little bit.
Yeah. I have a small quote I want to read.
Okay.
After Nesta says, I don't know you well enough to tell you that, Emery says, all right, I can still make inquiries, get a price for you. If you're cold out there, you shouldn't suffer, no matter what the High Lord may think. And I just like that because I feel like she's the first person who's, shown Nesta I don't want to say shown her kindness, because they've all been fine to her, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Like,
Okay.
empowering her a little bit,
Yeah.
too. Like, you know what? Regardless of what they think.
It doesn't
like,
matter what they think. You need to be comfortable.
And fulfill your needs,
Yeah.
girl. Regardless. But Emery does know who Nesta is, which I feel like that makes sense.
I feel like everybody knows who she is, because she killed the King of Hyper.
Yeah, and when she exits the shop, all of the people are, like, gawking at her, because they know that, you know, she's the one who did. And she thinks, "You're right to hide your children from me. I am the monster you fear."
Mm-hmm.
But then she goes back to the library again.
Yep. And she's got the same task.
Yeah. And just to shelve books and otherwise. And the house also keeps trying to feed her.
Yeah.
The house is, like, trying to take care of Nesta. And
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm not hungry. Stop it."
I really enjoy her relationship with the house.
I know.
I feel like the house is kind of sassy.
It is. A little bit. I love it. It starts getting more personality the
Yeah.
longer that she's there.
Yeah.
But she starts talking to Clotho about the shelving and realizes that some of them need to be shelved, like, on the 5th level, which is pretty far down to the bottom, and asks about Reaxis. And Clotho's like, "Yeah, it's still not back."
And she also says Reaxis never harmed any of us. So,
Yeah.
like, even if it was down there, you wouldn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. Yep. She says, "I think Reaxis," she doesn't give it pronouns either, took pity on us. But Nessa's like, "It's fine, I'll manage." She's slightly
I can
worried.
reassign you to a higher level.
Yeah.
Clotho says, and Nesta's like, "No, it's
No,
fine.
everything's fine.
fine.
And at one point, she, like, sits down to take a rest and eat. The house tries to give her food again.
Yeah.
And she's
Nessa's stubborn as hell. She's like, "I'm not hungry."
Uh-huh.
You haven't eaten in a week. What do you mean you're not hungry?
I know. And then Gwen comes.
Yeah.
And is being sassy. She's like, "You've been working for an hour. What the hell are you doing? Get up, you lazy."
Yeah. I think when she first comes in, she's like, "Who the hell are you talking to?"
Yeah, because she's talking to the house.
Yeah.
Nesta. But Gwen's giving her smack about being lazy. Giving her smack. Giving her shit. And then, like, hands off more books to be shelved. And Nesta's like, "You don't boss me around," basically.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, you gotta do it. I don't know what to tell you."
You're here to work and not only for Clotho.
Yeah, geez. And so Nessa's like, "Okay, whatever, I'll do it." But Gwen is interesting and, like, pushes her a little bit already from the beginning. She's a little sassy. She's way more, like, open and talking and, I don't know, expressive than any of the other priestesses.
Yeah.
Most of them, like, shy away and don't want to talk.
Yeah, they see two walk by and Nesta asks who they are. And Gwen tells them, and then Nesta's like, "How can you tell?" And Gwen's like, "By their smell." That's weird.
Yeah, they're stinky. But, yeah, we find out that Gwen's been there for a couple years. And, you know, it's like, "I don't need your pity."
Yeah.
And Nesta essentially is like, "I don't think you'll enjoy the way I speak to most people." And Gwen's like, "Try me."
Try
She's
me.
like, "Get out of my sight." And
Yeah.
Gwen's like, "I like you." But yeah, she starts doing that. And once she's done with all of it,
When she goes to leave, she talks to Clotho a little bit, and Clotho's like, "Are you not happy with the work I'm giving you?"
yeah, she
And
brings up
Nessa's
Gwen.
like, "Well, your people talk to me bad."
Yeah. Yeah, what the heck? She's a piece of work. And Clotho's like, "Some might say that of you." Some might. But they send her off. They go. She goes.
Oh, and
Not
we
they.
learn, Clotho tells Nesta about Meryl, who Gwen works for.
Yeah.
She works for Meryl, my right hand, who is a fiercely demanding scholar. If Gwyneth's requests were abrupt, it was due to the pressing nature of the work she does.
Yeah.
Which is like a little glimpse into Meryl and all of that.
Yeah.
That we'll talk about later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Meryl seems like a hard ass.
Yeah.
And Gwen is part of that.
She seems a little bitchy.
A little bit. But Nesta gets back to her room and is like, "All right, I'll take that soup now." And the house gives it to her with some bread. takes care of her. And she thanks the house, and it flickers lights as if to say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But then, she ate a bunch.
She did. She ate until she couldn't fit anymore.
Mm-hmm. Maybe she's in the library, actually. Her family, little one.
Yeah, the
and then,
private library.
Yeah, and Cash shows up. And he's like, who are you talking to? And she tells him about the house. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't think it's sentient. It's never talked to us. Like, this is weird, bro. And he's like, well, I'm going to ask Reese and see if there's, like, something that is going on here. And takes her cake.
Cassian says, did you do anything to make it act that way? And Nesta says, if you're taking a page from Devlin's book and asking if I did my witchcraft, the answer is no.
Yeah.
She's so sassy. I love her.
Very sassy. I do too. I love Nessie. Nessie? God, I didn't mean to say it that time, but it happened.
I love Nessie.
She is sassy. But he leaves her be.
Yep.
Well, he's like, you could fight me off with a fork if you trained with me, basically. After mad.
He eats half of her cake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then she goes to bed.
Yeah, she goes to bed.
She can't get warm because, the whole no fire thing.
But then the house,
like, warms her bed for her, which is really sweet.
And the room, he warms everything. I don't know if it's a boy.
I feel like it's gotta be a woman.
Sweet house. Smart house. We watched that today, guys.
We did. I forced
It's a
Danielle
wild-ass movie. It's very of the time. And not super great. Or it was a masterpiece.
I mean, it was a masterpiece back then.
Probably, maybe. I don't know.
Obviously, to
Disney
these
movies,
days' standards, it's trash.
Yeah, but like Disney Channel movies were always just fine.
I guess.
But it had some sick CGI.
It was really good CGI.
Yeah.
No, but like, it was a little creepy for a Disney Channel movie, don't you think?
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of dark territory. Creepy attacking house.
Yeah.
Who wants to
bullying
keep you to
children.
herself? Yeah. Bullying the bully.
Yeah.
The house out bullied the freaking bully.
Yeah.
It was the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
We'll post a review on TikTok.
About Smart House. Yeah. But she then has a nightmare.
Again. Hybern and Elaine.
And the cauldron situation, all that. And she, like, wakes and kind of feels her power grumbling in her veins.
Yeah. I want to read this little quote.
Okay.
On page 118. Because it just, solidifies the fact that Nesta blames herself for everything that's happened.
Yeah.
So this is on page 118. I think I said that already. Mm-hmm. She had done this. Brought this upon them. Touching her power, wielding it, had done this, and she would never forgive herself. Never.
Yeah. She certainly does.
Yeah.
And she snaps awake, feels her power, like, thrumming through her body and needs to do something about it. So she decides to try the stairs again.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, she's, like, going too fast.
Yeah.
She's disoriented.
She's getting dizzy.
Going too fast.
Are the stairs just like a spiral?
Yeah.
The entire way?
So, yeah. Yeah, it sounds bad.
Yeah.
10,000
steps.
10,000 spirally steps in the dark.
Yeah.
Basically. I think there's, like, mild light, but...
I feel like they're not, like, normal stairs either. You gotta, like, climb a little bit on some of them.
Yeah. I don't know.
They're,
they
like,
sound
down
terrible.
a mountain. So.
They are. I'm sure they're not even normal stairs.
They're not structured stairs.
No. But she starts flying down them and, like, trips and starts falling down the stairs and catches herself with her hand against the wall. And it, like, causes sparks and leaves indents on the wall. And she's like, oh, shit.
Is it on the wall or on a stair?
Maybe
I thought it was on a stair.
All right. Either way.
It doesn't matter. I'm just curious.
Yeah. She leaves her 5 fingers, like, indented into the stone.
Yeah.
And it feels like it must have been her power. And, gets all mangled from this fall.
Yeah. I imagine that her fingernails are, like, falling off.
Yeah.
Just from the...
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, later she talks about how her nails are all messed up. They're, like, cracked and stuff. But the next day, Cassin's like, who won the fight?
Yeah. Yeah, because she's not... I mean, she heals fast because she's Fae, but she's still all banged up.
But he knows that it was with the stairs.
And she's pissed. She's like, you were watching me and you couldn't come help me?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nah, I mean, if you kept falling, someone would have came and got you eventually.
Flown down to get you. Yeah, he's just picking at her all the time. And this time she only got 66 stairs. But doesn't tell him that.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm still not training. Of course she's not. And he just keeps trying, you know?
Yeah.
He keeps giving it a shot.
And they're at the ring again, and there's people watching again.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, they're not. Isn't this? Yeah. But now their stares turned amused, mocking him. So they're, like, starting to really make fun of him a little bit.
Mm-hmm. He asks her please, too. Like, it's the first time he's asked please.
Yeah.
And she still won't take his outstretched
hand out.
I know.
Like, please.
There's a quote here, too.
Baby, please.
Please, train with me. End the freaking embarrassment. Humiliation.
Mm-hmm.
But she couldn't. She won't. And there's a quote on page 122. And it's clearly like an internal battle in all of this. And it says, his hazel eyes were bright with pleading in the morning sun, the wind dancing in his dark hair. Like he was made from those mountains, crafted from wind and stone. He was so beautiful, not in the way that Azriel and Rhys are beautiful, but in an uncut way, savage and unrelenting. The first time she'd seen Cassian, she couldn't take her eyes off of him. She felt like she'd spent her life surrounded by boys, and then a male, she supposed, had suddenly appeared. Everything about him had radiated that confident, arrogant masculinity. It had been heady and overwhelming, and all she'd wanted. All she'd wanted for so many months was to touch him, smell him, taste him. Get close to that strength and throw everything she was against it, because she knew he'd never break, never falter, never balk.
But the light in his eyes dimmed as he lowered his hand.
Mm-hmm.
She deserved his disappointment, deserved his resentment and disgust, even if it carved something vital out of her.
Yeah. Tomorrow, then, Cassian says, freaking Nesta, come on. Come on.
She's such a little
Tutor. Yeah, and then later, the house starts intervening.
Yeah.
It locks the private library.
Yeah.
She's forced to go eat dinner with Cassian.
Yeah.
And she's grumpy about it. So she goes. And Cass and Az are, like, talking about the Vasa situation. Because Azriel's going to go and look into, Breland and Koshi and all that good. Hey, all that good. And Nesta, like, wants to ask about it, but won't. But she knows that, like, her father, essentially, instead of being a father to them, became one to Vasa.
Yeah.
And that the last time she talked to her, she was, like, fawning over the dad. And she's like, I'd never had that with him, so screw that lady.
Azriel asks Nesta why she's not training.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's being a friggin' toddler about it.
Is.
I just don't want to.
No.
You
I'm
can't
not doing it.
make me.
But then she goes on to say, like, I will never train in Windhaven.
I'm not training in that miserable village, is what she says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she says it a few times.
Yeah.
And
Cassian's like, bitch, you've been given an order by your high lord.
Yeah. And she's like, Rhys
like,
is an asshole.
Are you gonna tattle to him?
Yeah.
And Cassian gets kind of pissed about how she's talking about Rhys.
I know. And
don't talk about my high lord.
Yep. And they get heated. She says she hates Rhys, and he's like, well, everyone fucking hates you, so suck it. He's digging deep, which like cuts her off. And Az like he's like, oh no.
Yeah.
He sees it all playing out. And she gets mad too, and she's like, oh, what? Are you the only person who doesn't hate me?
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to, like, be grateful and train with you and all this stuff. And he's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And leaves.
Yeah. Friggin' out.
It's too much. They just need to bang it out.
Yeah, and then she comes back with friggin' sass.
Mm-hmm.
And says to him, does that mean you're done panting over me as well? Because what a relief that will be to know you're finally taking the hint.
Yeah.
And Cassian's like, oh god, ow.
Yeah.
That hurt.
They're both just cutting each other deep.
Yeah.
And she tells him again, like, I'm not training in that miserable village.
Yeah.
And
He's like, man, bitch, this was supposed to help you. What are you not getting about that?
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
So she goes back to the little library and, to the library to work again. Not the private one, but the big old one to distract herself.
Yep.
Cassian, we hop to him and he's like, man, Aaron was wrong. I can't keep reaching out my damn hand. Doesn't know what the heck to do.
Feels horrible about this because he's never failed at anything.
Yeah.
And he feels like he's failed.
Mm-hmm. He does.
Poor guy.
I know.
I want to just... Okay. Right now I'm hating Nesta. I'm like, I want to slap you.
Yeah.
Because I love Cassian.
I know.
I just want to protect him.
I do love Cass. I do.
But
and it's hard.
I also get where she's coming from.
Yeah, I also feel like in all of this, though, they aren't, like, conscientious of things that would matter to her either.
Absolutely.
Like, the whole training at Windhaven. Of course, she's not going to want to make a fool of herself in public. And, like, especially with Devlon and his crew, who are the most egotistical misogynists.
Well, Cassian gets there.
Eventually, after talking to Feyre, which Feyre shows up. Rhys winnows her in because she's like, Rhys said you were thinking really loud.
Yeah. And Cassian mentions the shield again. He's like, man, you still have this shield around you?
Weird.
I can't even smell you. I wonder why.
Weird.
And Feyre's like, yeah,
don't worry
I
about
haven't learned how to get out of here yet.
Yeah. Feyre's still in her bubble.
Yep.
But they start talking about, Feyre starts talking about how he's a pain in the ass for the shield.
Yeah.
And they start going through, like, what to do about the Brielyn and Koshi, how all of that's going. And Feyre's worried about what Az is going to find. Mor's headed off to Valahan. And
he's worried that she's going to come back with worse news about their intentions.
Yeah. And then Feyre asks about Nesta.
Oh, sorry, it's Feyre that's worried about that.
Yeah.
And Cassian's like, we'll deal with it, don't worry.
Hi, lady. I got this. And then they start talking about Nesta. Mm-hmm. And she asks, like, why Nesta won't train. And he's like, well, because she hates me. And Feyre's like, no, she doesn't, dude, I promise.
Yeah.
Like, believe me. You would know if she hated you. And it's not that. We all know she just wants to bang you. Y'all just need to bang it out. It's fine. And then through this conversation with Feyre, they keep going, talking about it. Mm-hmm. She gives a little more backstory about the mom and, like, falling into poverty. But then they kind of come to the conclusion that it's because she doesn't want to train in Windhaven.
Yeah.
Like, Az had filled Feyre in on the conversation. And through talking to Feyre, he realizes that, she was telling me. Like, she's not going to freaking train at Windhaven. So he's going to try again. Mm-hmm. One last time. So they go to the training ring at the top of the House of Wind, which is where they've all been training all this time. So I'm kind of confused as to why they wanted to go to Windhaven in the first place.
Yeah, why?
Why was that a choice?
Why? Why didn't you just do it in the comfort of your own home in the first place?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Maybe so that Cassian could also keep an eye on things at the Illyrian camp.
Yeah.
But I guess still. 2 birds, 1 stone, but
also,
or maybe to torture her in the cold. I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't get it. I'm also like, Cassian could go to the Illyrian village after their training, and Nesta goes to the library.
But listen, he's got a lot on his plate now because he also has to deal with the Jurian and Lucian shit.
There's a lot going on. He's multitasking. I guess
2 birds, 1 stone.
It just seems like a dumb choice from the beginning.
But especially because they have to have someone winnow them there.
Yeah.
So that's another person having to do another task.
Yeah. I know. Come on.
Use your brains, people.
Silly gooses. But anywho, they're at the training ring, the good old one at home, which makes way more sense. And Cass doesn't tell her outright that he, like, changed plans. He's just like, we can't go to Windhaven today. It's fine.
Yeah, he's like, Moore's doing this and Rhys is busy and no one can winnow us, so we gotta stay here. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about it. We're gonna do this instead. And at one point, they... Do you know? I don't know if I know.
Well, okay,
they start to make a deal.
Yeah. Cassian says, I'll make
Bargain.
a bargain with you.
Yeah,
And
an
Nesta's
actual
like,
bargain.
oh, God.
A
A
tattooed
bargain? I
bargain.
don't want a tattoo.
The Fae bargains and their tattoos.
Cassian offers her a favor.
For 1 hour.
hour. Any favor she wants.
Uh-huh.
For 1 hour of training.
Yep.
And Nesta's like, anything?
Ooh. What could it be? She agrees.
So she agrees.
And they both get tattoos
Yep.
down his back.
Down
and he's
the
like,
back.
I want to look. So he takes off his shirt. And she's like, oh, hot damn.
Oh, baby.
She's like, he has muscles I didn't even know existed. Rib muscles. And it's like an interesting tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find it real quick.
I got it.
Okay.
Dead in the center of the Illyrian tattoo snaking down his spine, a new tattoo had appeared. An 8-pointed star whose compass points radiated in sharp lines across and up the groove of his back, twining with the Illyrian markings long inked there. The eastern and western points of the star shot right onto his wings, black bending into black. Black blending into black. A matching one he knew would be on Nessa's spine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it sounds really pretty.
Yeah, an 8-point star.
Yeah.
Interesting. So they make the bargain.
Yep.
And they start their 1 hour of training. Which is just like balance, footwork, or not even footwork, but just like wiggling your toes, or essentially your feet. And so they start working on that.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow, my legs hurt
She's like,
a
man,
lot.
my freaking
This
pinky
is
toe
intense.
hurts. My toes.
My pink toes. And she's like, Feyre didn't have to start there. And he's like, yeah, well, Feyre was hunting and, doing a lot of other things prior
she
to
had
training.
skills already.
Yeah, Nesta, come on.
You remember how you made your sister do that?
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, they're doing all that. It's a whole hour of doing toe stuff.
Yeah. And then they start
like a cool down. Stretches.
Yeah. Breathing.
Yeah. And I think at one point, Cassian apologizes for what he said. Like, says he didn't mean it. I don't know if that had already happened or happened soon. But, yeah, they do breathing movements and stuff. And in all of this, Nesta feels like at ease and calm.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's quieting her demons.
Mm-hmm.
And she's enjoying it to some extent. And ends up doing the full 2 hours.
Yeah, and Cassian offers another bargain. He's like, basically Nesta says that's it, and Cassian's like, unless you want to bargain with me for a second hour. And Nesta says, you really want to owe me 2 favors? And Cassian says, if it'll keep you here to finish the lesson, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But they never, solidify anything, and they go on to do the second hour.
Yeah, and at one point, she asks him, what's next? The cool down. And he's like, you sound eager.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, the breathing makes my head stop being so loud. She thinks horrible, awful, miserable. And he goes, mine too. He gets it. And they have this bonding moment.
So sweet.
And then he's like, all right, anyway, cool down.
Right,
cool
down.
Yeah. We didn't do anything.
And then Cassian's like, you never told me after they're finished.
Mm-hmm.
Cassian's like, you never told me what you want for the second hour. And Nessa's like, it's all in the house.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, it's okay, buddy.
Yeah, I did this because I wanted to.
Yeah. It quieted my friggin' brain. And I'm like, yes, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love you.
I know. And before, as she's headed out to go to the library, this is when he's like, I didn't mean what I said last night. About everyone hating you. She's like, it's true. And he's like, no, we're doing all this because we don't hate you.
Don't.
We're just trying to help you. And she says, I have never hated you, Cassian. They're both starting to soften up for each other.
I love them.
I'm glad that was a solution that he could find and start working towards. Because I feel like, obviously, she needs a lot of healing, and the training will be a big part of that.
Yeah. Then she heads to the library.
Yeah.
And she's starving to death.
Yeah. I mean, she's finally eating.
Yeah.
She was not eating. She wasn't doing anything. But now that she's, doing a hard day's work between training and the library, she's, actually eating food and taking care of herself a little more. But in the library, Gwyn shows up.
Gwyn shows up looking for a book.
Yeah.
A very
And
specific volume of a book.
and she's like all flustered because she gave Meryl the wrong copy.
Yeah, she gave her volume 8 instead of volume 7 or something
How
like
dare
that.
she?
The black.
The black.
Yep, that's all.
Blasphemy.
The
Yeah. She's all in a tussle. Fussle. Oh.
She is all in a
flurry.
tussle.
Anyway, Gwen's upset.
She is. She's like, Meryl's gonna kill me.
Yeah, and so Nesta decides after Gwen's left
She's gonna go find the book.
do it.
She asks the house for the
asks
book.
the house for the
and
book.
the book gives it to her. The house.
The book gives her the house.
The house gives her the book.
And she like does the whole heist situation. She goes into Meryl's office.
Meryl's office after she asks someone where it is.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that as if it was really important.
She first has to locate the office and does so with someone else's help.
Yep.
Yeah, and she replaces it real quick. And Meryl is kind of a bitch.
She is absolutely.
She's like, enter.
What are you doing here?
Stoic, and she's like, you're an idiot. Because Nesta at one point pretends like she got the rooms mixed up or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, just get out of here, jeez. But she does it.
Uh-huh.
And then she finds Gwen again.
Yep.
And like
tells her.
And Gwen is so grateful and it bounds off. Oh, my dude. This is that quote I was talking about with you the other day.
Okay.
Nesta asks about Gwen's research, or Meryl's research, and what she's doing.
Yeah.
And guys, I'm curious about this.
Yeah.
Because there's all these theories around town, right? That SJM universe is just a bunch of, or I guess multiverse, is all within the same
realm, I guess.
Realm or universe. Each series are like within the same sphere.
Yeah.
Of some kind. But Gwen says lots of things when she asks about what she's researching. Meryl's brilliant, horrible but brilliant. When she first came here, she was obsessed with theories regarding the existence of different realms, different worlds, living on top of each other without even knowing it. Whether there is merely one existence, our existence, or if it might be possible for worlds to overlap, occupying the same space but separated by time, and a whole bunch of other things. I can't even begin to explain to you because I barely understand them myself. Some philosophers believe there are 11 worlds like that, and some believe there are many as 26, the last one being time itself, which, honestly, I looked at some of her earlier research and my eyes bled just reading her theorizing formulas. This is page 154. So I'm like, is SJM going to be creating 11 worlds? Or as many as 26?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the specific number is important in all of that, but I think that's just setting it up for, like...
multiple.
Obviously, there's a freaking crossover somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we know of one, at least.
Yeah.
That's confirmed.
Yeah.
With the Starfall thing.
Mm-hmm. Starfall sitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, that was interesting to me. I liked it.
Yeah.
I felt like it was fourth wall.
Mm-hmm. But then, yeah.
But anyway.
Go on to talk about the Valkyries.
Oh, yeah.
Who are like a
female
race of... I don't know if a race is the right word.
Clan of female warriors.
Clan, thank you.
Like flying warriors.
A clan of female warriors. Better fighters than the Illyrians.
Oh, maybe they're not specifically flyers, but...
The Valkyrie name was just a title, though. They weren't a race like the Illyrians. They hailed from every type of fae, usually recruited from birth or early childhood. They had 3 stages of training: novice, blade, and finally Valkyrie.
Mm-hmm.
To become one was the highest honor in their land. Their territory is gone now.
And this is Meryl's current research.
Yeah.
Which is sort of planting seeds.
Yeah.
But then Gwen's like, I'm in your debt, thanks so much, and has to run off.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna be late.
Nesta makes it back to her room. Of course, the house gives her a hot meal, a hot bath, and, like...
And a hot book, too, I think.
Yeah, maybe this is when the house starts getting her smut.
No, it started a while ago.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the house was just giving her smutty books.
Yeah.
And Nest at one point is like, do you read this stuff? Like, it's
And the house,
suggesting
like,
books.
flashes its lights
Yeah.
in response, like, yeah, bitch.
That
I
house
love
is
them.
smart. I know.
I love the
cute.
smut.
Oh, and Cassian, at this point, Ness is, like, exhausted and passes out and thinks she sees him having, like, Peach's head in.
Yeah.
And it hops to Cassian, who did, in fact, do that.
Absolutely did.
And she was naked, and he was like, ooh,
Yeah.
only saw a shoulder, but, scandal, nonetheless.
Ooh, baby.
Naked shoulder.
That shoulder was real suggestive.
Yeah.
Got him all hot and bothered.
Yeah. And the house, like, shows him her empty plate as if it's proud that it's getting her to eat.
Because I think he was planning on, like, bringing her food because she didn't come to breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
So he's, like, worried about her.
Yeah.
Which is sweet.
I know. But Nesta makes it back to training the next morning. She actually comes, and they don't have to make a bargain for her to freaking train this time.
Mm-hmm. And Cassian's like, I shouldn't have been surprised. I should have realized. And she's like, what? And he's like, that you'd be late because you're so sore, because you're weak.
She's like, don't talk about it. God, I'm in here. And then they start getting close and personal. Cass is, like, stretching out her hamstrings, and he's in between her thighs, stretching her, and she's like, oh my God. They're both having the time of their lives.
Yeah.
Getting real close. Still, freaking, the tension is building like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He asks her a little bit about her mom.
Yeah.
And she says that she was a worse version of me. And to avoid it, she asks him about the priestesses in San Grava, because isn't that where Gwen's from? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And asks, like, what happened there. And basically, that was when they were looking for pieces of the cauldron.
Mm-hmm.
And all of Hybern came in and, like, murdered and raped everybody.
Yeah. And Cassian's like, oh, you met one of the priestesses in the library? Is that why you're asking about this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he tells her that he heard that Moore had brought one in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hybern just pillaged and plundered and raped and etc.
Yeah. And then Cassian and Reese go to Springcourt.
Yeah, to meet Eris. Because it's like a neutral ground.
Yeah.
And nobody's seen Tamlin, so he doesn't give a shit.
Oh, man.
162. Nobody's seen Tamlin, so he obviously doesn't care if they're meeting there.
Yeah.
But
this whole scene made me laugh so hard because Cassian's just like itchy as hell the whole time.
The allergies. I know. I mean, Springcourt would be that way.
Yeah.
I get bad allergies. I don't need it to be spring all the time.
My allergies are worse in the winter, which is really weird.
That is
but I
weird.
get weird winter allergies.
Cold allergies. I'm allergic to cold. But Eris is there, and he essentially is like, we're wasting time. Why don't we just kill everybody?
We need to kill the queens.
Kill the queens, my father, kill them all.
Yeah.
Just get rid of them. Or no, just kill the queens,
It's
and my
the
father
queens.
would then abandon his plans.
Yeah.
And Reese is half considering it.
Yeah.
And Cassian's like, what the heck? And he's like, it's tempting. It seems like a fast way to go.
Yeah, he says, tempting as it may be to take the easy way out, I agree with Cassian. It's a simple solution to our current problem. And to thwarting your father, but it would create a conflict far greater.
Yeah, this is when Eris talks about how Baron wants to go to war to take the Springcourt.
Yeah.
Because it will fall easy. I jumped the gun on that one.
Yeah, you did, jeez.
But it's okay. It's okay. And they go back and forth, of course. And he's like, I can try to delay my father some more, but it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
And Cassian, or he says, like, why do you want your father's throne? Cassian's asking about that. And he's like, for the same reason I left Morgan untouched at the border. And he's like, you sure about that? And Eris is like, you should probably talk to Moore. I think she's probably pieced it together by now. But he still won't explicitly say what the heck happened.
Yeah.
What the heck? What actually happened here? Was Eris a good guy?
I know.
I want to know what went down.
I know. Do we find out in this book?
I have no idea.
I hope so.
I don't
'Cause
remember.
I really am nosy. I want to know.
Mhm.
I need the gossip.
Yeah. And Eris leaves saying, like, let me know when the Shadow Singer comes back.
Yeah.
And Reese is real distant and spacey.
Yeah.
What's that about, Reese?
Every time we've encountered him, I feel like he's been kind of weird. In
I
this
know.
book.
We really haven't had anything from Reese.
There hasn't been much.
Other than, like, protective of Feyre.
Yeah.
And distant and weird.
Yeah. Distracted.
He is not, something's going on at home.
Or somewhere.
Or somewhere.
Not necessarily at home.
Not necessarily. Yep. But they go their own ways. Cass asks him about it. He's like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
But they go their own way. And then...
They do.
They do.
Then we jump back to Nesta.
Yeah. She's just happy that Meryl never, like, chewed her out. She didn't figure
for the
out.
book.
Yeah. But she gets, like, locked into the darkness of the down.
Yeah. So she decides to go to the stairs again. She
Yeah.
made it to 150.
this is not then.
What?
Never mind.
Okay.
Carry on. Sorry.
She gets to step 150 before her legs give out.
Yep.
So she heads back up.
And she gets dinner, bath, and a book again and tells the house, you might be my only friend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you have one, Nesta.
The house was apparently so pleased by her words that as soon as she lay back, a tray appeared across the width of the tub laden with massive piece of chocolate cake. I love the house.
Hell yeah.
It's
that
like,
sounds
I'm your
good
only
to
friend.
me.
Here's some cake.
Yeah.
Love you, buddy.
Love you. Have some chalky.
Yikes.
But the next day, this is what I was starting to say, and now it's happening. Nesta's in the library.
Oh.
On the, like, 6th floor looking down at the 7th.
Yeah.
Getting lost, absolutely, in the darkness that it was.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And she's like, Reaxis isn't here anymore, but it feels like something's been imprinted here, or just, like, there's some dark energy down there. It pulsed, tendrils of shadow drifting upward. This is on page 169. She'd stared too long into its depths. It might gaze back. But she didn't move from the rail, couldn't remember how she'd come down this far, or which book she still held in her hands. There was night, and there was the darkness of extinguishing a candle, and then there was this. Not only the true absence of light, but a womb from which all life had come and returned, neither good nor evil, only dark, dark, dark. Nesta! Her name drifted to her as if rising from the depths of some black ocean. Nesta! It slid along her bones, her blood. She had to pull back, pull away. The darkness pulsed, beckoning.
Nesta!
And it's Gwen. So she's like getting summoned by some weird dark energy in the freaking library.
Which, I mean, it sounds like she's describing it as a womb and
that's where
all life has come from it. It sounds a lot like the cauldron.
It sure does. But why would there be cauldron energy in the library?
I don't know.
But Gwen's like, we should get the heck out of here.
Yeah, she sees something, doesn't she?
She just, like, I feel like the darkness is starting to come towards them. And she asks Nesta, like, what'd you see? And Nesta's like, why, do you not see things in the dark? And Gwen's like, no, dude, like, we need to get the heck out of here.
Some of the others do. They say the dark has trailed them right to their doors.
Yeah, and Nesta says, I saw darkness, pure darkness. And this causes Gwen to, like, get into kind of a panic.
Yeah.
And tells her not to look back, and they just sort of race up to the 4th floor or wherever her cart was.
Yeah.
And
Gwen's like, do not look behind you.
And her invoking stone, her, like, blue stone circlet that all of the priestesses have, is flickering.
Yeah.
And she says that it's similar to the siphons, except that the power of the mother flows through it. So it can't be used to harm, only healing and protection.
Mm-hmm.
So it's shielding them.
Yeah.
From whatever this darkness is.
Yeah, and there's, as they're running, Gwen is like, don't look. Nesta asks, is it following? And Gwen says, no, but I can feel something like a cat, small and clever and curious. It's watching.
Yeah.
It's so creepy.
What is all this about? I don't want any part of it.
I don't either, and I don't remember this, and I want to know if it's something that we learn about later, or I can't remember.
I bet we will. I feel like this probably comes up again.
It's so creepy.
But I know, I'm like, I wonder if it's, some residual energy or whatever, but because Nesta is part cauldron, she, like, attracts just that kind of thing.
It's true,
You know? Like,
yeah.
Weird dark energy.
Yeah.
I don't remember what
Maybe
happens.
Veraxis had a baby. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
Briaxis baby.
It's just left in the library.
Or
without
maybe
its
friggin'
papa.
Briaxis came back and just no one knows.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not like they go down there.
I know, but I feel like it was a different vibe from Briaxis.
Yeah, true.
Like, scary, but not like a womb.
Well, she wasn't looking at it.
Yeah.
Briaxis was only creepy if you were looking directly at it.
Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe
I don't know.
she's... I don't know.
But, yeah, Gwen's like, maybe don't go down there anymore. And she says, I don't wish to learn what might come crawling out of the darkness if you, Cauldron Maid, fear it, especially if it's drawn to you.
Yeah.
So that's suspicious as hell. That is suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Don't
it is
be
being
suspicious.
And then they talk a little bit about her training with Cassian.
Mm-hmm.
And Gwen wonders why.
Yeah.
And
She asks her what's wrong with Ness's leg, because Ness is, like, limping.
mm-hmm.
So that's how it gets brought up.
Yeah. And, yeah, so they talk a little bit about their training and how she needs to curb her behavior and because she was being a fool.
Yeah.
And Gwen goes running off to Meryl. She's got to go.
Yeah. Nesta asks, before Gwen leaves, Nesta asks why she doesn't wear the stone on top of her head like the others do. And Gwen says, because I don't deserve to.
Yeah, what's that about, Gwen?
What's that about? That's sad.
Sure you
All
do.
these friggin' broken women, man.
I know.
It's really sad.
I know. I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah.
But then they're back to
training
training
again.
They're doing balance
They
stuff
are.
and stretching.
And Nesta's kind of annoyed. She's like, this is really all we're doing. I don't fall that often. Come on.
That often. Yeah. And they're starting to, like, I don't know, talk a little bit about things about themselves. For once.
Yeah. Cassian talks a little bit about his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Nesta asks about her.
Yeah.
Which is cool. She's actually, like, showing interest in his life, you know?
Yeah. And he tells her that he killed all of the people that, you know, hurt his mom.
Yeah.
And murdered her. And he's like, the shame of it, you know, was hard for him. It took him 10 years or something to overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
And is trying to relate to her and sort of let him know that, you know, he worked through it and she can find a way, basically.
Yeah.
And he says the training helps him, you know, and helped Feyre too. And when he's talking about this and being vulnerable with him, she sort of sees himself put up a guard, like waiting for her to strike out and say something vicious.
Yeah.
And she feels like deep shame about causing that in him. Like, I'm the reason he acts like this is because I've been a fucking bitch this whole time.
Yep. Get it together, Nasty.
Yeah. Yeah.
For your pay.
Yeah. But then she's back in her room. The freaking house is giving her books to try. And it then, like, pushes her out the door, basically. Like, it won't give her food. It just opens her bedroom door.
Yeah.
It's like, go see Cassian. Come on.
Go see your
Go see him.
lover.
And they talk a little bit about the library and the darkness.
Uh-huh.
And she doesn't say much, but he, like, is on guard immediately.
Yeah, she asks him, Cassian, she's like, you saw Briaxis. And Cassian's like, yeah. And she asks him what it was like encountering him.
Yeah.
And he says, my worst nightmares, and I'm not talking about petty phobias, I mean my deepest, most primal fears. We know all this already.
Yeah, he talks about, you know, the monsters in the prison, and he starts telling her dude's monsters that he put in the prison.
Yeah.
And how they were like the early gods, and all of the stories that the humans heard about Fae were stemmed from them. Like, these dark, evil monsters. They're based on truths, and he, like, arrested a large number of them. Lanthus is one he mentioned specifically. Mm-hmm. And how the bog are, like, from Lanthus.
Yeah.
But he's put a lot of crooks, not crooks so much.
Crooks.
Yeah, as much as monsters in there. He tells her about a few of them.
Yeah. There's a couple other names. 7-headed lubia.
Yeah, what the heck is that? Sounds suspiciously like labia.
Yeah.
And then there's anus. That's anus for sure. Yeah, he's gotten a lot of creeps
Just
up
out
in that
here
prison.
and imprison. Oh, wow. Just out here imprisoning labias and anuses.
Yeah, well, you gotta do it.
7-headed
Someone's gotta do
labias.
it. Said it. Neither of us can speak. 7-headed labius.
We are approaching the end of the episode.
We
and
sure
we don't
are.
know
We're
how to
getting
talk
there.
anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're having that fun conversation.
Yeah.
And, excuse me. He's like, all these horrors you've seen, you kind of learn to live with them.
Yeah, she says something along the lines of, I don't know how you live with all of that. And he's like, you just learn to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to learn to deal with your shit too, Nesta, basically. Mm-hmm. I mean, he doesn't say that, but I'm saying that.
Yeah. Learn to deal with your shit.
He's like, if I can learn to deal with all of these 7-headed labias and anuses, you can deal with things too.
Yeah. And at one point, he's like, do you think the darkness in the library is attracted to you because of your powers? And she's like, I don't have powers.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, what about the stairs and the freaking handprint? And
Yeah.
she was like, that was Lucian, totally. And he's like, dude.
He's got firepower. Come on.
Relax.
Yeah.
You might have been born human, but you're not, but you're pure fairy, answering questions with questions, evading honest answers. Because she asks him, like, does it even matter if I have powers? Why are you asking me this?
Mm-hmm. It never mattered to me.
And he is like, you need to do something with this. They're not just going to sit idly by these powers of yours.
Yeah.
But yeah, it never mattered to me.
I love him.
Yeah. And she asks him why he bothers,
Yeah.
And he asks her, why'd you stay at my side during the freaking war? And then they just keep going back and forth with questions. She's like, I was a stupid fool. And he was like, what is it you're afraid of?
I'm not afraid of anything.
Nothing. Liar. Anyway, they're picking at each other still.
They are indeed.
And he's like, your eyes glow when you get mad, like molten steel, like silver fire. He's trying to rile her up, just like Reese did for Feyre.
He is. And she recognizes that he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
She's like, bitch, I'm over you.
Mm-hmm.
She takes a step towards him.
But then he starts telling her some hot truths.
I know. I want to read this.
Okay.
All right. This is on page 182. And they're like face to face because she's like,
they're both up in each other's
stepping towards
business.
him and he's just holding his ground.
Yeah.
Nesta couldn't move as Cassian leaned to whisper in her ear. The first time I saw that look on your face, you were still human. Still human, and I nearly went to my knees before you. Your power is a song, and one I've waited a very, very long time to hear, Nesta. I don't know how much of this I want to read, actually.
She starts getting hot and bothered. Her back is arching.
Does.
She, wants to touch him. There's only a few feet between them. He starts, grazing his nose on her neck. He's really trying to get her
breathing
going.
in her ear.
But she, refuses to lean in to the touch and to start anything. And he tells her, do you know what I'm going to think of tonight? Dude! And he says, I'm always thinking of that look on your face before they leave. And okay, both of them get busy that night.
Yeah, he says not only I'm going to be thinking of that look on your face, I'm going to think of that look on your face. I'm always thinking of that look on your face.
Yeah.
There was more to it. I just had to add it.
Yeah. Yeah. So they both go their separate ways and they get busy.
They sure do.
They get freaking busy thinking about each other.
Nesta does her thing.
She sure does.
And she tells the house to go away. She's
Yeah.
like, can you just stay out of my room
leave
tonight?
for a second, please. I gotta think about Cassian while I'm alone.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah. They're both very hot and bothered.
Yeah.
And it's pretty explicit. So if But also I'm like, yes, good for you, Nesta.
Yeah, and
Lean
then-
into like something that feels good.
The start of chapter 16 makes me laugh. Cassian hadn't slept well. It was hard to sleep when he'd been so aroused he'd had to pleasure himself not once but 3 times just to calm down. Enough to close his eyes.
Yeah. They both really just
And he
needed
wakes
to
up
release.
Still wanting her, and he
Uh-huh.
has to do it again.
Yep.
He's like, oh, shoot.
He just can't handle it.
Shoot,
and he
dang
knows he has to
dog.
see her. Yeah. Dang, I can't be talking to Nesta when I just can't keep it in my pants. My God. But they encounter each other and both
Of
like
course.
are very much
Yeah.
awkward.
Ness is reading a
Yeah,
romance,
yeah.
nonetheless.
And this is funny to me too. He he asked her what she's reading and she's like, a romance. She's awkward. He's like, what's it about? And she goes, a book. The book, it's about a book. And he's like, okay, great.
Okay.
Sounds really good.
Training. They got training. We gotta focus on training.
So they started doing that. And then she's all
Here's
embarrassed
my
later
thing.
on.
Okay, they're all hot and bothered, and a lot of training has been like Cassian stretching Nesta out.
Right in between her legs.
Hello.
Come on, it's a good time.
Come on.
Why not? Just let it happen.
Just freaking let it
Guys,
happen.
I think
Get
they both
your
need
release.
it. Yeah. Well, I feel like they just need to bang it out. One, to
Yeah.
like cut the tension between them a little bit, at
Yeah.
least. Even if they don't just carry on doing it. But
Yeah.
also, like, Nesta needs to start feeling some good in her life.
Yeah.
And Cassian would
Cassian
be
is
that.
good.
He is real
on.
good. We all know it to be true. Come on.
It's gotta be.
Come on.
He's just horrible.
He
in
has
bed.
rib muscles.
Horrible.
That would be the biggest disappointment.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, just do it.
Yeah.
Ugh. But they train.
Come on.
Or, no, they're at breakfast for all of this. And he's like, I gotta go.
Yeah, but they're going to train after breakfast.
Yeah.
So, like,
They're
this is
eating.
friggin' awkward.
They're building more tension right before
Yeah.
training. And Nessa feels like an idiot. But when they... she's like, a book is about a book. Come on, Nesta. But when she gets to the training room, he's like all business.
Yeah.
You know, he's back to his self in telling her what to do and train and etc. This. God, dude, they keep going at each other. And they're talking about, training.
This part.
Training her core.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, you're going to make me look like that? And he's like, no one could look like this but me, Ness.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, Reese and Asriel do. He's like, I've got 1 or 2 muscles on them. She's like, I don't see
I
it.
don't see it.
He's like, maybe they're in other places. And it's like the first time she laughs then. She like huffs a laugh because his arrogant ass is like, you want to see my other muscles, baby? So they warm up and then abdominals. What? Abominable snowman.
Abdominable
Abdominals.
muscles.
Abdominals. Thank you, Danielle. We got there. Good Lord.
Uh,
But they're training.
Yeah.
He's roasting her about not being able to plank.
he's like, I knew you didn't have much muscle, but really?
Yeah.
This is pathetic.
And she's like, well, then do your big, tough male routine. He's like, all right. Takes off his shirt. She sees his rib muscles. Just starts doing it all aggressive. She's like, oh, damn. Like, that's going to help anything. And then she asks him about, like, a female Illyrian fighting group and if they've ever had one.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we try.
We tried once, but it failed, so no.
Yeah.
Because
And-
Illyrians, I really appreciate that, like, him and Az and Reese recognize that the friggin' misogyny that takes place in the Illyrians is horrible.
Yeah, it needs to be updated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They want to change it, but it's hard. Hard change.
Yeah.
But she asks him, like, is it hard for females to become a warrior? And he tells her it's not just about training. It's, like, the social part of it, too.
Mm-hmm.
And then tells her a lot about the blood right.
Yeah, because to become warriors, the females would have to compete in the blood right.
Yeah. But he gives her a whole bunch of information about how it's, like, a free-for-all without magic or wings. And if you survive, then,
We gotta kill
You
your way
just
to the
have to
mountain.
survive, kill your way. He tells her about how they all reached the top, and, there's only been a few since they did in the last 12 years that made it to the top.
Yeah.
And then there's like 3 different levels you could become.
There's a warrior.
No.
So,
Oh,
whoever
here
is
it
left
is.
standing.
I found it. You can go. Oh, you were about to read it. Is that exact thing? Go.
Whoever is left standing is considered a warrior. Where you are when it ends sorts you into one of the 3 echelons of warrior named after our holy stars. Arctician?
Sure.
The ones who don't make it to the mountain but survive. Orician? The ones who make it to the mountain but don't reach the top. And Corinthian? The ones who scale the summit and are considered elite warriors.
Yeah.
Touching the stone atop Ramiel is to win the right. Only a dozen warriors in the past 5 centuries have reached the mountain.
Yeah, not just not the tip, but just the mountain. I think he says only like a few since then have done it, like the full top. 12 made it to the mountain and became Christian or whatever. Only 3 others besides us won the blood right in the last 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. And I guess females aren't allowed to compete or something. He's like, more would likely win the damn thing in record time, but no. Wouldn't even want to see her participating. He, like, essentially alludes to the fact that not only is it super dangerous and you could probably die, but, like, the males would treat the females really badly. Like, they would have it worse off if they competed.
For sure.
Yeah.
And he basically says that, he's like, you heard the bullshit Devlin spewed about your cycle. That's considered progress.
Yeah.
Because they're mortals, or because they're immortal? Yeah.
Yeah, immortal is they live a long time.
Yeah, progress takes more time because they live way longer. And so it's, harder to break the traditions that are in place.
And ingrained in their freaking society. Yeah.
Bullshit.
I know. But then Nessa brings up, asks him if he would be willing to train some of the priestesses. And he's like, I don't think anyone would come, but, you're welcome to pass on the invite.
Yeah, well, and he says that, he doesn't think that they would be willing to work with a man. And he's like, we can get Feyre. And Nessa's like, nah.
Yeah.
Not Feyre.
Not Feyre.
Anyone but Feyre.
And he's like, all right, not Feyre. I'll get someone else, and I'll need to give Reese a heads up, and you have to, ask Clotho. But I like it. I like it a lot. And for some reason, the words meant everything. She's starting to, think outside of herself,
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes and asks Clotho the next day.
She does.
And Clotho's like, I really don't think anyone will join, but whoever wants to has my blessing.
Has my blessing.
Essentially.
So Nesta posts a little, sign-up sheet.
I know. It's like sign up for a club.
Uh-huh.
Posts a sign-up sheet, and nobody signs up.
No.
She keeps checking all
For
the
days
time.
and days and days, she checks and no one ever comes.
Yeah, no one signs up. But she starts, using the books as she shelves them to train. She's doing some of her exercises there, and some of the priestesses start noticing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, free advertising. She's like, look what I can do, guys, because of all the training that I'm doing.
And she's made it, 700 to step 750 on the stairs.
She's starting to do more and more stairs.
Kept trying.
And she remembers Cassian having told her to just keep reaching out your hand. So she's starting to do that for these priestesses.
Mm-hmm.
Cute. And then they're training again. Talking about punching. And
Nesta's doing it all wrong. I picture her like this.
With
her fist.
Yeah, he's like, you're going to break your freaking hand. And I've done it multiple times. So they talk about it a little bit, and she's like, I had no idea punching was so fraught with peril. He's like, apparently it takes brains to be a brute. Because she's called him a brute a number of times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But they practice punching for a really long time.
They sure do.
Um,
And at one point they're talking about his muscles. He's like, so you think all of this is just wanting to show off your muscles? Or no. So these abdominal exercises are useful beyond wanting to show off your muscles.
oh, yeah, because she's got to use her abs to punch.
To engage in the punch. And she's like, I think I've caught you looking at yourself in the mirror at least a dozen times each lesson. He's checking himself out, as she is too.
I don't blame him.
And he's like, why are you use that mirror to watch me when you don't think I'm paying attention? Yeah, they keep training. She doesn't want to entertain him though. She's like, you want me to train, so train me. She's all business today. And she zones out for a second.
She does, thinking about her father.
Yeah. And he's like, where'd you go? And she says, nowhere. But then Elaine visits her, and Nesta is a certifiable bitch.
She is. She is indeed.
She just, Elaine asks her, like, are you enjoying yourself? And she's like, I don't have a freaking choice to be here, Elaine. Yeah. Like, that's a dumb question.
Why'd you do this to me? It's all your fault.
And then moves on to saying, like, I stood by your side for weeks, and, okay. But in perspective, Nesta, weeks, as opposed to
it's been over a year.
Yeah, relax.
Yeah.
But she just starts railing Elaine. Yeah.
I have a small quote I would like to read on page 202.
Okay.
Somehow, Nesta had become the ghost. Worse than a ghost, a wraith whose rage and hunger were bottomless, eternal. Elaine had only needed time to adjust, but Nesta knew she herself needed more than that. So she's like comparing herself to Elaine.
Yeah.
You can't compare your healing journey to someone else's.
No.
Everyone does it different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nesta.
You can envy that she's adjusted, I guess, but like do the work to get there then.
Yeah.
Don't just brood. But yeah, she throws at Elaine that like you essentially threw me under the bus even though I stayed by your side forever.
Yeah. You even helped pack my things.
Yeah, and
you
Elaine.
Stinker.
Yeah, you stinker. You've been talking about me behind my back. And Elaine's like, we did this because we love you. And she's like, that's just bullshit. Yeah. And is so angry. And Elaine brings up Dad and says that, like, you know, she's about to say he'd probably be disappointed if he were here. And she's like, don't ever mention him.
Never fucking mention him again.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, is this what it's about? Is it father? And she tells Elaine to get out. And then goes on to essentially blame Elaine for his death.
Hold on. 1 second. Hold the phone.
All right. I don't have one to hold, but I'm holding it.
She forbade her leash to slip completely, but she felt it. The stirring of that terrible beast inside her. Felt its power surge, blazing yet cold. She lunged for it, shoving it down, but it was too late. Elaine's gasp, confirmed that Nesta's eyes had gone to silver fire, as Cassian had described it. And I think this is the first time that we see her eyes change.
In this book.
This book.
Yeah, it's happened before.
And, you know, there's, like, speculation that between the inner circle that when they broke the cauldron, maybe it took Nesta's powers.
Yeah.
So we now have absolute confirmation that it hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, Nesta has been saying she's felt it all this time.
But
true, but like
someone
to present
else
to somebody else,
it,
yeah.
She's been hiding it from them.
They certainly have. It's there. Yeah. They know. Yeah, she shows it, but Elaine doesn't back down this time. She just holds her ground. She's a little shook, but she's like, okay, whatever. Yeah. And Nesta goes on to essentially blame the father's death on Elaine. She's like, if you'd come sooner, essentially, like all of that could have been avoided. And Elaine does not like bite at the bit. And she's like, you think I'm to blame for this? No, but the King of Hybern is to blame for this. And they go their separate ways in a bad way.
Yeah.
Go back to Feyre and your little garden. God, Nesta, you're stooping low.
Yeah.
But
she's such a brat.
Yeah. So Elaine heads back, and Cassian sees that she's been crying, and Rhys is about to win her back. Him and Cassian had been at Windhaven to see if the Illyrians would be prepared to fight if they had to. And
Rhys is like pissed that Elaine is crying.
Yeah, Elaine won't talk about it, but
Yeah.
he's upset. He also protects delicate little Elaine.
Yeah.
But Feyre, like, had warned Elaine, and Cassian's like, Nesta is making progress, I swear. Like, something must have triggered her.
Yeah.
She is doing better.
Yeah, and this is all communicated to Rhys through their brains.
Yeah. And at one point, like, he's like, just warn us before Elaine comes again. Like, Nesta needs a warning.
I think he says from both of the sisters. He's like, don't.
Well, he says, let us know if Elaine's coming. And Rhys asks, what about Feyre? And she's like, she doesn't want Feyre here. And Rhys gets pissed at that. He's like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, calm the fuck down, dude, okay? I'm here with Nesta, not you. They have their own shit to get over. They don't need to, like, complicate it more right now. Just give her time. So Rhys takes her the heck out of there.
Yeah.
Elaine. And Cassian goes to confront Nesta.
Yep. He asks what happened.
She obviously doesn't want to talk about it. And he assumes, she's like pissed that he assumes it was her fault in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Always defending sweet, innocent Elaine. And he's like, okay, but that used to be your role until recently, so I don't know why you're shitting on it. Jeez. And she's still mad. Mm-hmm.
Oh, he starts a fire, and Nesta's like, no, fire. And the house ignores her.
Uh-huh.
And so Cassian sees her, like, flinch again when the fire pops.
And he's curious about that.
Yeah.
He wonders what's going on there. And she just starts to leave. And he's like, where are you going? Out. She's out.
Leave me alone. Yeah. So she leaves. He lets her leave.
Yeah. He's like trying to provoke her to get her to say more, and she won't.
Yeah.
She just storms out. She's defeated a little bit.
So she goes to the friggin' stairs again.
And she ends up doing, like, you know, a lot of stairs.
Yeah.
She got through, I don't know, 1,000 or something.
By step 1,000, she had stopped entirely.
Yeah, because she was pissed. That's her way of working through emotions now, is taking stairs up and down.
At least she's, like, training.
Good form
and it takes her out of her head.
Yeah, good movement of energy. And he asks her, like, about what happened with Elaine, and she avoids that conversation and, like, why won't anyone trade? And he's
Where do they meet up again? We went from stairs to them talking. I guess she just goes back up.
He's at the top of the stairs again.
Got it.
Yeah, at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they start talking about, he wants to talk about Elaine, but she won't. She avoids it, moves on, and asks, like, why won't anyone come to train?
Yeah.
Asks if that's what she's upset about. And he tries to, like, give her something to relate to in the way that, like, it's only been a couple weeks as far as her own progress. Like,
it took Feyre forever.
And she's like, I don't want to hear about fucking Feyre and her stupid story. God. And then, maybe this, I've been saying things at the wrong time this whole time. But this is when he tells her he killed everyone that hurt his mother. And it took him 10 years to get over it.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just going to take you time. You got to work through it. And it'll take you time. She asks him if he regrets it. And he says no.
Yeah. And he says, whatever you need to throw at me, I can take it. I won't break. She says, you don't understand. I'm not like you and the others. And he tells her, that's never bothered me one bit. He lowered his hand. Oh, he's got his hand on her face.
Yeah, he's gotten real close. He's trying to comfort her.
Comforting. You say... he gets pissed again because she says something about Rhys. She calls him, oh, so special, right? Rhysand.
Mm-hmm. He's not my high lord. I may speak of him as I wish. Tells him to let her go. And he's like, make me use that training. And they go back and forth. You're an arrogant bastard. You're a haughty witch. And then they, like, stare each other down for a hot minute. Mm-hmm. They have this, like, battle of, no, I will insult you better. And also challenge. Like, they're challenging one another.
Uh-huh.
And then what the heck does Nesta do?
Well, she freaking... Nesta tries to knock the smirk off his face. She's grabbing the front of his leather jacket and hauls her mouth to his.
Hauls. You hauls her mouth on over.
And that's where we leave off, y'all.
Dude, after
we're really,
all
really
that,
good
yeah,
at leaving on a cliffhanger.
unintentionally cliffhanging. Yeah, after all that sexual tension, it's about damn time.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of upset that's where we ended, because I'm like,
I
you know it's
know.
about to get hot
I know.
and heavy.
I know.
I know. That's just we're starting to like uncrack Nesta a little bit. Cracker. We're not trying to uncrack. We're cracking into her hard exterior.
It sounded like you just said cracker, like a saltine cracker.
We're trying to cracker her. Give her a cracker.
Give her a cracker. She needs some
She does need to eat more.
food.
She's still thin.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are starting to dig in a little more into Nesta.
Yeah.
Break her walls down.
Yeah.
It's good that she has like the women, and Cassian's been pushing her.
Yeah, and training seems to really be helping her mentally.
I know.
Like, at least give her a little reprieve from the monster in her head.
Yeah. Yeah. She needs to just freaking work it out, man.
Mm-hmm.
And also figure out that power. Because I feel like it keeps boiling it up. And eventually it's going to boil over. Explode.
Yeah, and she needs to figure out her shit with Cassian.
Facts. I want them to figure it out.
Me too.
Come on. You love each other. Come
Just
on.
friggin' love each other.
Come on.
Just let it happen,
Just
Nessie.
be in love.
Please. I want to read about it.
Yeah. Soon. This next section. At least some of it. Anyway, y'all. Next week, we are talking through chapters 19 through
39, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Let me just confirm. 19 through 39.
Sick. Next week, April 8th. Nope. Next week, April 15th.
God.
Is chapters 19 through 39. So be sure to read that ahead of next week.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for listening.
If you are on YouTube, thank you for watching.
Yeah. Leave us some comments about your thoughts about this section of the book. If you're listening on a podcast platform, a rating would do wonders.
Yes.
We really appreciate the support and help. And go follow us on TikTok and Insta and YouTube.
Yeah.
All at Books and Crannies Podcast.
We really love interacting with you guys.
Yeah, we do. We love it. We have a lot of fun.
Out.
TikTok is our best place to do that, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I have to stay that way.
Yeah.
Talk to us on other places. We love you a lot.
Yes, we love you. Thank you guys for tuning in to
Yeah.
this week's episode.
And happy reading.
Happy reading. And goodbye.
Bye, suckers.